Following program is paid for and presented by John DeMasi. The opinions expressed are not those of Town Square Media or station advertisers.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5 presents Talk with a Purpose. Join the conversation by calling 609-407-1450. Now the host of Talk with a Purpose, John DeMasi.
Good morning and welcome to the show that promises to be better than last week. Isn't that what the Philadelphia Eagles have been telling us for the last 6 weeks? But I promise I'll deliver, okay? Good morning and welcome to another edition of Talk with a Purpose every Saturday, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Also heard on 1450 AM and always online at WPGTalkRadio.com. So you have a variety of ways to listen. And it sure is good to have you with us this morning. It is you and me against the world today. 3 hours of just you and me talking about everything we're going to talk about. And, of course, the number in the studio, 609-407-1450. That is 609-407-1450. Anytime during the course of the show, feel free to call in. We welcome your calls, as you know, here on Talk with a Purpose. I was looking at social media. Look, I'm not a social media guy. I rarely look at it. I follow Facebook a little bit, once a day I look at it, and that's pretty much it. But the thing about Facebook, and this is what I like about them, they post these things that you did several years ago, like, oh, here's what you did in such and such a year or whatever. And a lot of times, you say, oh, gee, I remember that. Oh, boy, that's nice. Especially pictures of the grandchildren. That always feels good when you see that. But on the other hand, it's what they've reminded you of that you did in the past. And this goes back about 6 years ago. Hard to believe. This is now our 9th year of this show. Jeez. Yeah, try it for a couple of weeks, they said. See if you like it. 9 years later, we're still doing it. I was reminded of this little Facebook post that I made, and it was like January 12th. Today's the 13th. So it was January 12th of 2018. And it was around this time of year. So, the time frame is similar. And we were saying goodbye, and we were saying good riddance to the Chris Christie administration. Yes, you remember, he was governor. We like to forget that, but he was governor for 8 years here in the state of New Jersey. And I posted something then that said, good riddance, Chris Christie. Because Phil Murphy was to take over the next week as the new governor, and that's another unfortunate event. But here we are, 6 years later, and what are we doing? Today, we are saying goodbye to the candidacy for president of the one and only Chris Christie. Are you upset at that? Are you sad? Are you distraught? Chris, you want a tissue, Chris?
Yeah.
Okay. I know I'm sad because, well, we don't have Chris Christie to kick around anymore, a reference to Richard Nixon way back when. Yes, the Republican nomination, that's what he was vying for. Chris Christie has announced he has suspended his campaign for the Republican nomination for president. But he didn't go down lightly. Oh boy. He went down with a vengeance. You ready for this? In his campaign exit speech, he said, I am going to make sure that in no way do I enable Donald Trump to ever be president of the United States again. And that is more important than my own personal ambition. Well, how's he doing on that front so far? He's not doing too good there either. I mean, he's 0 for 2. Pretty soon, I guess, 0 for 3. Then he added, I would be happy to get out of the way for someone who is actually running against Donald Trump. Well, there's a couple of those, right? Part of the reason that this kind of occurred was that the poll numbers, they did a poll in New Hampshire, I think it was CNN, and they did a poll, and Nikki Haley got 1/3, Trump got 4 or 5 out of 10, and, I mean, Christie, what's left? I mean, he got him, but nothing. So the governor of New Hampshire, John Sununu, he encouraged Christie to drop out, paving the way because he's for Nikki Haley. So he figured that little bit that Christie has in New Hampshire, well, he'll put it out to Haley. And as I said, in the meantime, this is a CNN University New Hampshire poll, found that Trump's lead, at least in New Hampshire, is down to single digits. 4 in 10 picked Trump, 1/3 favored Haley. So, the New Hampshire people are hoping and praying that Haley turns this contest into a 2-horse race, and I guess they're getting rid of Ron DeSantis. So, with that, we once again say, goodbye, Chris Christie. Is this the last goodbye for Chris Christie? Maybe he'll go back on ABC and spout off about different things. Although he's right about some of the things, but in this case, he's way off, and he's never really polled any kind of numbers anytime, even before when he ran for president. So we'd like to kick you around more, Chris Christie, but no more. You have left us, and we are sad you've left us. Good riddance. That's what I said in 2018. I said, good riddance to Chris Christie. One of the worst governors in the history of the state of New Jersey. So whatever, I mean, we've talked about this many times. What was he thinking? And I mean, we've talked about this also before. Politicians don't seem to have a grip, many of them, on reality. I mean, we'll talk about Menendez later on today. He's spouting off that they're conspiring against him. And I mean, you know, and we talked about McGreevey last week. He's running again for mayor of Jersey City. So all these politicians don't seem to have a grip on reality. And Christie, this time around, he never polled numbers above maybe 5%. And what makes him think, or makes his staff think, that he can become president when he's polling at 5% of the Republicans? So this really, I mean, it's out of whack. It really is. But we don't have to worry about Chris Christie anymore. He is gone, but let's face it, he's going to be somewhere, and he's not going to let us forget him. Believe me. But that's our Chris Christie rant once and for all, I hope. Talk with a Purpose is the show, Saturdays 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. I'm John DeMasi. We bring in the one and only Seth Grossman, and I'm getting many, many thanks for distributing your calendar, Seth. People have enjoyed it, and I've enjoyed it too, because I found out something I didn't know. That in the 1600s, the Quakers wanted to have women involved in government. I mean, I didn't know that. So it's a very educational and worthwhile calendar. Seth, good morning.
Absolutely. And when William Penn founded Philadelphia, of course, he brought that Quaker philosophy of empowering women, opposing all wars, opposing slavery, and making sure that Native Americans got treated fairly and got a full price for their land and were integrated into society. And of course, the Biden administration rewarded that progressive, tolerant, peaceful vision of America by trying to remove William Penn's statue from Philadelphia last week. And of course, I don't know if you followed that. But because there was such an uproar, the Biden administration backed down, and William Penn will remain at that historic park in Philadelphia by the Liberty Bell. But the fact that they were going to tear down someone who is as quintessential American as William Penn, to create what was called a more open and welcoming monument. I mean, it's just crazy how things are going in America today.
Why don't we change the name of the state of Pennsylvania? What do you think, sir? I mean,
right?
Really?
Yeah, I mean, because in other words, basically, William Penn's only crime in the woke world was he was a white male. Because there was absolutely nothing else negative about him, but yet they wanted to remove his statue anyway.
That's right. And if you get your calendar, you see that the Quakers, I mean, they were very progressive. They did a lot of things that are being done today.
Right, and basically South Jersey was built on that Quaker model. So when you hear about racism and reparations and so on, one of the reasons why South Jersey was such a hub of the Underground Railroad to help black slaves escape from the South was because of that Quaker influence. So as much good stuff that we had in the calendar, there are dozens of stories we could not tell because we just didn't have enough months of the year to tell them all. But hopefully we'll have the project next year. Before I go on a side trip, I want to remind your listeners that our yearly fundraiser will be February 17th, and our featured speaker will be Craig Calloway of Atlantic City. And he really plays into our theme, what happens to America happens to Atlantic City first. Because one of the big issues right now for 2024 election is what happened in the election 4 years ago. What was the election stolen? And, of course, Craig Calloway could answer a very simple question. Why did Republican Congressman Jeff Van Drew win re-election in South Jersey as a Republican when President Trump lost in this area? But even more important with Craig Calloway, about what happens to America, happens to Atlantic City first, the whole business about, going to sleep on election night and the Republicans are winning. But then when you wake up in the morning, the Democrats have won. What happened? Was the election stolen? And that whole pattern of elections actually started here in Atlantic City. I don't know if you remember it. But in 2001, Jim Whalen was the bipartisan mayor of Atlantic City, and he was challenged by Democrat Lorenzo Langford. And when the polls closed and the election workers went home that election night in 2001, Jim Whalen was ahead by 800 votes. But then when they came back a day or two later to count the rest of the mail-in votes, Whalen lost decisively. Well, what happened? Well, that's when Craig Calloway started the practice of having most people vote by mail and instead of in person. And what Craig Calloway would do, he would wait until the last possible moment at like 7:30 at night on Election Day to turn in his absentee ballots because he didn't want the other side to know what he was doing. And that Atlantic City pattern was adopted by Democrats throughout the country. So if anyone wants to know, how that started and how it worked and why it's legal, Craig Calloway will explain all that on February 17th. I think that the $75 ticket to hear him, and by the way, all proceeds go to the organization, not to Craig Calloway. I think it's a worthwhile event.
Well, I wish I could be there.
Well, we already made arrangements for the video, so we'll have a video thing. But you did get me sidetracked on by talking about Chris Christie, because as you probably know, I've lost like a lot of friends over not supporting Donald Trump by supporting Ron DeSantis instead.
Right.
And I'd say about 90% of our Liberty and Prosperity members support Trump. But it brought back memories that in 2013, 10 years ago, I was in the same situation, because not only was I attacking Chris Christie in 2013, I ran against him in the Republican primary when he was running for re-election. And even many of my friends and supporters said I was nuts, because at that time, Christie was polling at 60% approval, and everybody loved Chris Christie, and the media loved Chris Christie. And of course, the Democrat media loved Chris Christie because he had embraced Barack Obama and helped him get elected. So they were saying nothing but good things about Chris Christie. And also, Chris Christie got millions of dollars for a program called Stronger Than the Storm, which allowed a state government to advertise on all the TV stations and all the top newspapers, which meant that none of the media would say anything negative about Chris Christie because they didn't want to lose the advertising money.
Right.
So there he was at this unprecedented popularity. And I know that Chris Christie is going to crash because everything he was saying was a lie. He lied about Atlantic City. Remember during Hurricane Sandy, they said, the iconic boardwalk was destroyed. It washed away.
Yes.
And that was because the national media took this section of the boardwalk that had been destroyed 10 years before. And washed away, had nothing to do with the boardwalk.
Right.
And they were supposed to have Obama and Christie were supposed to come to the boardwalk to have a press conference. But if they did that, everybody would see that the Atlantic City was not damaged at all, and that the casinos, there was no reason to close them. So they had the press conference in Brigantine. So nobody would see that they had that lie. And Christie lied about the budget. He said he cut taxes, but he really raised local suburban taxes by cutting aid to the cities. He said he reformed the pension system. Everything he did was a lie. And I was pointing out that all these lies would unravel eventually. And but I was really denounced at the time. How can you attack Christie? He's so popular. So anyway, I'm personally going through the same thing with Trump, because right now Trump is riding high in the polls, and Fox News says nothing bad about Trump. Everything's wonderful. But if you look at the race, and I'm gonna get biblical here, when you're looking about Trump, they said, how do you judge a false prophet from a real prophet? Well, you look at the fruits. What is it that happened when Trump was president for 4 years? And what you saw was, even though his signature issue was ending illegal immigration, Trump stopped deporting illegals unless they committed other crimes. And so during his 4 years, Trump deported fewer illegals than Obama did. And there were 30 million illegals when Trump came into office in 2017, and there were 30 million illegals in America when Trump left in 2020. In the 2020 census, Trump tried to say that illegals should not be counted in the census, because when you count illegals in the census, it increases the voting power of sanctuary states and cities. So Trump tried to stop counting the illegals, but when the courts wouldn't let him do it, Trump didn't do any mass deportations, and that's why the sanctuary Democratic cities have this extra electoral votes. They have extra seats in Congress, all because illegals gave them more voting power. Trump added $8 trillion to the debt. Trump remember the riots when Trump was inaugurated in 2020 in January of in 2017.
Yes.
You had all these riots in 2017, and they were all orchestrated, and they knew who was going from city to city, doing all the violence, and yet those the leaders of those riots went unpunished. And guess what? Those unpunished rioters did the same thing 3 years later in 2020. Trump did not repeal Obamacare because he picked a personal fight with John McCain. He wouldn't apologize. Trump elevated Fauci, shut down the country in 2020. and Trump gave Democrats control of the House of Representatives in 2018, the Senate in 2020, and the White House in 2020, and Trump picked losers to run for the Senate in 2022. So that's the fruit, that's the record, but yet you won't see one word of that uttered anywhere on Fox News or Newsmax. And so I feel it's the same situation with Chris Christie. You have this artificial bubble that I think is, as a real campaign takes place, these facts are going to come out. And I personally think that the Democrats can turn everything around just by dumping Biden and picking almost anybody else, because the whole assumption is that Trump is going to run against Biden again. So, again, these are just my personal views, but I think Iowa is going to be very interesting on Monday. I think the race is between the establishment, Nikki Haley, versus Trump, versus Ron DeSantis, who is basically the Trump policies and agenda, but without the Trump baggage and with a track record of getting things done. So what will Republicans do? We'll find out. And what kind of reception am I going to get when I walk into my Liberty and Prosperity meeting? Who knows?
I was just going to say.
But I'm going to give this the views and opinions of Seth Grossman regarding Donald Trump are not necessarily, but are not the views of the great majority of the members of Liberty and Prosperity. I have to give that disclaimer.
Yeah. I just want to add one thing. You talked about Chris Christie. And, my primary residence is Brigantine, and it was at the time. And he allowed every person who was a primary resident, he allowed them $10,000 to spend as they wanted on anything, just take a vacation, whatever. But he gave $10,000 to everyone who was a primary resident of the Jersey Shore who was affected by Hurricane Sandy. And I wrote him a letter. And I thanked him for that. And I have never written a letter, but I did there. So that goes to show you.
They actually had a program where they were giving out vouchers at the casinos to anyone who would say, I had groceries, I lost groceries because of the power failure of Sandy, and you would get a voucher for $400. And they didn't check. Nobody checked whether you actually had groceries or how many you lost. It was just like a $400 giveaway, and that set the precedent for where this money went. But that's another topic. One other thing that I just came up, and I don't know if any of your listeners have gotten this, but one of our members was very upset. Got a form from the U.S. Census a couple weeks ago. It's called the American Community Survey. And basically, about 10% of all households got this intrusive form from the Census Bureau that takes you 40 minutes to fill out. And you have to give details about your race, the ethnic group, your income of everybody in your household, how many rooms you have in your house, how much you pay for rent, how you heat your home, how you cook your food, what kind of car you have, your citizenship, your ancestry, your employment. And if you don't do it, they tell you you're in violation of the law and you're going to be fined $100. And if you lie on the form, you're going to be punished and fined for $500. So a couple of people who are our members got this form. They said, no, it's unconstitutional. The purpose of the census is to have a survey every 10 years to see who's living in your house so we know how many congressmen each state is supposed to get. This is all intrusive, and they force you to do it every year, and they tell you if you don't fill it out, someone's going to be knocking on your door to force you, and if you don't cooperate with that person, you're going to be punished. And it's ironic because, as I pointed out, when Trump was first elected in 2016, he tried to get the Census Bureau to ask people, are you a legal citizen or are you legally in this country? And the courts would not allow that question to be put on the census form. And now you have 10% of Americans getting this intrusive thing. And it's obvious that the only purpose is to show, that some groups are victims because of race or ethnic background, so we can have more diversity, more affirmative action, more equity, and all that stuff. So, and people are asking me as a lawyer, is it against the law? And as a lawyer, I honestly don't know, but I guarantee during the next couple of weeks, I'll be doing the research and reaching out to other people to see whether you have to answer those questions.
So you got your work cut out for you.
Yes, I do. And by the way, Ann Coulter wrote a very interesting thing on Twitter. She said, this is the anniversary, I believe it was 10 years ago, that you had that pilot called Sullenberger or Sully.
Yeah.
Took off from, LaGuardia Airport, and a bird knocked the engines out of the plane. And because of just brilliant skill, he was able to turn the plane around and land it in the Hudson River, and not a single person died in what could have been a major tragedy.
Yes.
So Ann Coulter is pointing out that when you hire pilots of planes, don't you want the most skillful people you could find?
Absolutely.
Because right now the government is trying to say we have to have diversity in pilots. And so people who do not have the necessary skills will be given preference so they could be pilots of airplanes. And when you take off, don't you want the person who has, who's really devoted their whole life to perfecting a skill, as opposed to picking someone just because they're of a certain ethnic group? And that leaves me with only 2 points. In Atlantic City, we didn't talk about this, but on last week, January 6th, a 14-year-old boy was shot in the head and died in Atlantic City. And I believe we had 4 murders, mostly teenagers, in Atlantic City, mostly young black children. And imagine all the protest and the outrage when a criminal who resisted arrest died from an overdose of drugs, and yet the whole country protested that injustice. But these murders and deaths of black young men are just totally ignored because it's not a political. There's no political gain to be pointing out what's responsible there. So we have to talk about that, and I'll be in conversation. And the second point, in the Galloway Township Public Schools, Ethel Hermano and Jenny Larea took office, and they made, when they came in, a very good observation. Why was it at the Christmas concert of the Galloway Public Schools that there were no Christmas songs, just Kwanzaa and Dialia and so on? And I think they're going to be making some changes, and the best way to start a change is February, which has become Black History Month. Shouldn't there be some mention somewhere in our public schools to honor and remember George Washington and Abraham Lincoln?
Right.
Anyway, 9:30 to 10:30, Liberty and Prosperity has its meeting at Sal's Cafe. If it's Saturday, come on over and join us. If it's Sunday, join us next week. And have a great week.
You too, Seth. Thank you. Liberty and Prosperity, Seth Grossman, libertyandprosperity.com is the website. It is Talk with a Purpose every Saturday, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. I'm John DeMasi. John and Craig will start us off, and then maybe you at 609-407-1450. We will get started right after these words.
Joe Yakovich is registered with, and securities and investment advisory services are offered through Brokers International Financial Services, LLC, member SIPC. Brokers International Financial Services, LLC is not an affiliated company. When it comes to you and your family's financial wellness, there are so many things to talk about. We could go on forever. To help guide you along the way, Joe Yakovich has written a book called The Heart of Your Money, Inspiration for Financial Wellness. In the book, Joe talks about longevity, inflation, retirement surprises, and many other topics. For your free copy of The Heart of Your Money, call the office of Joe Yakovich at JML Financial at 856-751-1771 or email Joe at jyakovich@brokersifs.com. For over 37 years, Joe Yakovich has been helping families throughout the area navigate the difficulties of a sound financial plan. You'll find Joe's approach to be different and not just the cookie-cutter methods that are prevalent in today's world. The path to your financial wellness and or retirement starts with a call to Joe Yakovich at JML Financial Group. 856-751-1771. 856-751-1771. Or email Joe at jyakovich@brokersifs.com.
We are back here on Talk with a Purpose, 609-407-1450. Let's talk to John in Ocean City. John, good morning. Welcome.
Yes, good morning. It wasn't a topic of conversation for me, but it's known among people that are experienced in that field that electronic voting is more easily hackable than people know. Also, laws were changed outside the Constitution during the 2020 election. But those of you who don't believe the election was stolen, and those of us that do believe it was stolen, we're at loggerheads, that's all. But that's not what I want to bring up. But I want to bring up correcting myself from last week. No, I talked to Doc Marquis. Brother Doc Marquis was saved out of Luciferian witchcraft, left-hand path witchcraft. They call it black magic and white magic, but in the world of witchcraft, it's left-hand path versus the right-hand path. And if it goes back to old Europe, and I understand the Druids were performing human sacrifice. It's not because some nut from Ocean City said so, some tinfoil hat wearing kook from Ocean City said so. Now, underneath the Stonehenge, there's the remains of 4,000 human beings that were sacrificed. It was not a cemetery. It was a sacrifice site. That's called the old religion. And the old religion is covert right now. It's not out in the open. It will be. But I had speculated and I embellished a little bit last week because of the year of the dragon. This is the year of the wood dragon, not the fire dragon, for one. Now, if you go back 12 years to 2012, that was year of the water dragon, and we had that natural disaster which involved water called Hurricane Sandy. However, if you go to 2011, we had Hurricane Irene, which was the year of the metal rabbit, which has nothing to do with water. So we'll just chalk it up to coincidences. The coincidences happen in nature all the time, not in the world of man. In the world of man, they hardly ever exist, if at all. But I just had thought about that from this verse from Revelation 13:4. And they worship the dragon, that's Halel in Hebrew, and Lucifer in Latin, which gave power unto the beast. That's the Antichrist. And they worship the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? But that's not happened yet. That's yet to happen. I don't know what's going to happen. Regarding my speculation about the 2030s, that Doc Marquis was brutal with me. He said, you need to knock it off with embellishment and speculation because we're going to have a hard enough time convincing people of the truth. And Doc Marquis was from that world where there's no way a person like Doc Marquis would have become an atheist because the things that he saw when he was in that world were mind-blowing, if you talk about it, you'll really think I'm a tinfoil hat wearing nut if I tell you what I heard about what goes on in that world. But anyway, if you look at the symbology, the capstone is severed from the truncated pyramid on the back of our dollar bill. The symbology is that's the eye of Horus inside that capstone. Actually, it's the eye of Lucifer. Now, if you look on the back of the dollar bill, it's Annuit Coeptus. Our endeavor has been successful in a Novus Ordo Seclorum. Now, Novus is new, Ordo is order, Seclorum is world, new order world. But if you translate that properly from Latin into English, our endeavor has been successful in the establishment of a new world order. That's what that means. Underneath that pyramid is May 1st, 1776. So there's reasons why I believe the way I do, because FDR had signed Executive Order 6102, which made hoarding of gold illegal. Effects, Executive Order 6102 required all persons to deliver on or before May 1st. That's Beltane. Beltane is a big day to that group of people. 1933, all but a small amount of gold coin, gold bullion, and gold certificates handed over to the Federal Reserve, which is a criminal enterprise anyway. But in 1933 is when Adolf Hitler came to power. John Fitzgerald Kennedy was assassinated on the 33rd parallel at Elm Street at Dewey Plaza. But Doc Marquis would have chided me for saying for date setting. He was definitely against date setting, but he did say that the 2030s is when the globalists want to tie things up. They want to come out in the open. They don't want to be covert anymore. They don't want to be a shadow government working from the shadows. They want to come out in the open or have open rule. We're up against a tidal wave here, but if we're going to just argue about stupid stuff, then that's not necessary. But we need to be real careful about who we vote into office. Thanks for letting me call in.
Thanks, John. Thanks for that long way to go. to make a point, but a good point. Talk with the purpose of the show, Saturdays 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. I'm John DeMasi. Craig will grace our presence after the break, and maybe you at 609-407-1450. 609-407-1450. We're coming back with more Talk with a Purpose in just a moment. But first, we want to talk about something very, very good. Best of the press for 9 years in a row. And you know all this stuff. I've been saying this for years. BF Mazzio, 601 New Road, Northfield. And if you want to be part of their text messaging club, all you do is text your number to 855-910-1246. 855-910-1246. You'll be part of the text messaging club. Every week you get some specials. But most importantly, you get a money-saving coupon. Save you some money. So, hey, I'm all for that. You're all for that. BF Mazzio, 601 New Road, Northfield. And, of course, the finest fresh fruit and produce you'll find anywhere. Gift baskets, fruit baskets, baked goods, prepared foods. I had, look, I got to tell you, every time I try something, I had the Manhattan clam chowder, which they've never really made before. And I thought, well, I'm going to give this a try because their track record is pretty good. And it was delicious. And I don't really, that's not one of my favorite soups. But I'll get it again, Manhattan clam chowder. And of course, there are others. Too numerous to mention here, but you check it out. You check out the soups, the prepared foods, the baked goods, and of course, if you want to send something to a relative or a friend, whether they're close by or far away, a gift basket from BF Mazzio, and they have those fruit flowers as well. So there's a variety of things that you'll find at BF Mazzio. And one more thing, did you know that they have fish? That's right. In their frozen food section, they have gourmet Chilean sea bass, gourmet salmon. I mean, it's just too numerous to mention. You got to go in there and check it out for yourself. BF Mazzio, 601 New Road, Northfield, online at bfmazzio.com. bfmazzio.com is the website. Coming back with more Talk with a Purpose in just a moment.
If you're interested in driving one of the finest automobiles on the market today, then you'll want to check out all of the fabulous new and pre-owned Lexus at Lexus of Atlantic City. Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. Driving a Lexus is like no other vehicle on the market. Test drive one for yourself at Lexus of Atlantic City. Whether it's new or pre-owned, you'll be more than satisfied. In fact, Lexus is consistently #1 when it comes to customer satisfaction. Visit Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. Or you can check out their outstanding selection of new, pre-owned, and L-certified pre-owned vehicles on their website, LexusOfAtlanticCity.com. That's LexusOfAtlanticCity.com. Or, if you want more information, call 609-641-0008. Lexus of Atlantic City, now celebrating their 26th year in the area. A dealership that you'll enjoy. No pressure, no gimmicks, no hassle, no hype. Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. And remember, always online at LexusOfAtlanticCity.com.
Your WPG Talk Radio 95.5 AccuWeather forecast for South Jersey. Coastal flood advisory today. Wind advisory is in effect as well. Windy, mild, partly sunny, the high 57. Temperatures sliding into the 40s. Clear to partly cloudy, windy tonight, low 31. Partly sunny, windy day tomorrow. Snow shower, high tomorrow 45. Clouds for the day on Monday. High Monday at only 34. I'm AccuWeather Steve Williams on WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Just as long as we don't have snow. That's all I care about. Oh. Talk with a Purpose is the show. Saturdays 9 to noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. I'm John DeMasi. Let's go to the phones again. Craig in Northfield. Craig, good morning.
Well, good morning, John. How are you today?
Good.
Now, I got to tell you, after Seth comes on, somebody should get from the Republican side extra 3 minutes just to go against what he said.
Okay, well, you have 2 minutes of that. Okay.
Okay, so let's talk about what he said. Let's talk about Mr. Trump there and all those illegals coming in. Let me ask you a question. Every step he took Remember when he was going to do that chlorophyll or whatever it was?
Yeah.
What happened there? What did the media do to him?
Crucified.
Okay?
Crucified.
Especially from I think not Brett. Maybe I think it was Brett Baer. Maybe or the financial guy in the afternoons. He came after him because he had a heart attack and ended up that Trump was right. So let me ask you: did anybody ever retract that from Fox?
No.
Seth, did you ever retract any of your statements? I want to ask you that because you got a lot of retracting to do, because every step that Donald Trump made with that border, they said, he had them in cages. Remember that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
they made a big thing about that, remember? He's putting people in cages. He's horrible.
Right. And AOC was down there crying, and there was nobody on the other side of the fence. Remember that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So we got a lot to cover here. First, I just want to say to you, because we've been going round and round over how long you been on the radio?
Now 9 years.
9 years. Okay. So banning guns. Remember that? And I finally got you to admit that you wanted a gun when you were in Philadelphia that one time.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, now these liberals, okay, because see, they banned the guns in I think it's Germany. I think it's or France. And then people are getting killed by knives. You know what they want to do?
What do they want to do?
Ban knives. Okay. So
ban everything.
I don't know how you're going to cut. Don't worry about cutting your steak, because if the guy from Microsoft has his way, you're not going to eat meat. You'll eat bugs. So let's talk about, we got a couple things here. Chris Christie, Iran, Letitia Hunter at Cars, and the Army. So let's start with our Army. Right now, we're so close to war right now. I just want you to know, people, John, you went, geez. Remember, I love when you say that. Remember you said that to me when I said to you, we're so close to war? How you feeling now? Do I hear geez now? No. Because, guess who just stepped in? India. Did you know that?
No.
10 ships right there into the Mediterranean, Red Sea there. Oh, yeah, it's heating up big time. We just shot off some missiles last night. But the big thing about the Army is that we got a dwindling population in our Army to serve our country because of, the new population that we got to have in the new way. The men that can wear dresses and heels. I don't know how they're going to run. But, and upward mobility. So there, in my opinion, I'll say this, there's been reverse discrimination, okay, in many ways. There's no upward mobility because you could see what happened at Harvard for white people, Chinese people, anybody with maybe a better opportunity that they think they want to bring upward mobility up, and they're getting discriminated. White people are not signing up for the Army. Do you know what that does for our country? Do you know what's the volume of population of white people in this country?
Probably 60, 70%.
There you go, 67%. So now we're going to have 67% of our country, people, not signing up to protect it. Now, I'm not saying that they're the brightest, but I'm going to say that they're some of the brightest, okay? And some of the leaders that we would probably need in the event that we're having a war, because from what I'm looking at, we might have a full-on war there, because Xi, during his New Year's address, did say that he was going to take Taiwan. You did know that, didn't you, John?
Oh, yeah, I knew that.
He did say that, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, in the meantime, this morning we were shooting missiles to the sub of Iran. So we're going to be, they actually are saying that we're going to be going to war with Iran on TV. Did you know that, John?
No, I didn't know that either. No.
Yeah, I want to wake up the people, because we got all these people coming across the border, and the second communist vice president of some China thing, he's the second largest owner of land in our country. So we have a lot to be concerned about with these Chinese nationals that have been crossing our border that I told you about a year ago.
Yes, you did.
I did. So, all right. So here we got a couple quick things here. you haven't paid me for my dinner yet, so I guess you're waiting there to make sure that Donald J. Trump is going to win. But according to Chris Christie, with his little slip mic action here, open mic, did you hear about what he said?
Yeah.
Seth, how come you didn't bring that up, Seth? Seth, are you listening to me? I hope your team members are listening to me, too. But Chris Christie actually said that Nikki don't got a chance. Did you hear that?
Yeah, that I heard. He's good now going away, but he should stay away and not shoot his mouth off, because he does that a lot.
Well, wait a second. That Chris Christie didn't mean to do that. That was a think happened.
The mic was on, and he didn't know it was on.
Man plans and God laughs.
That's right.
And he also brought up your ex-friend. Okay, your ex-nominee, and definitely Seth. He said that, hey, Seth, you want a president's crying on Chris Christie's shoulder. That's who you want. Right? Okay. So Harry brought up about the electric cars in Hertz Rental. They're gone. Okay, that electric car needs more repairs than a car that runs with an engine in it that's got like almost, 4,000 moving parts.
Jeez.
Right?
Yeah.
So, now let's get down to D.C. for a little bit, okay? Yeah. Is that okay?
Yeah, just quickly.
All right, very quick. We had Hunter give the index finger to Congress. You saw that, right?
Oh, yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Now, how did you feel about that, John, real quick?
No, I didn't like it, no. No, I didn't.
No, you didn't like it.
No.
But now, just imagine if that was Donald Trump Jr.
Oh.
Would he have gotten out of the building, or would he have been arrested right there?
Would have been arrested.
Thank you so much. And so let's talk about Letitia. I didn't know that it was Letitia, the girl down in Georgia. You might have to help me with that. The prosecutor down in Georgia's got a boyfriend. Did you hear about that?
No.
You didn't hear about her boyfriend that is actually the attorney, okay, that's digging up all the information against Donald J. Trump?
No, I didn't hear that. No.
Oh, and you didn't hear how she met with the Vice President of the United States on the White House lawn?
No.
Did you hear how they were colluding, okay, information about the January 6th committee and down there in Georgia? Did you know that, John?
No.
I'm hoping that person down in Ocean City is listening a little bit there, because that sounds a little corrupt. And remember, we talked about that was a whole setup. 200 FBI agents were down there January 6th, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to leave you two things real quick. Epps got parole. And you remember, Epps got parole, the guy that was pushing everybody to the White House, okay? And the guy that was videoing it all, he got 6 years. What country are we living in? And I did tell you that the Eagles were going to lose. When there's mayhem, okay, when Sirianni, if you remember, when we were playing the red team there, Kansas City, and he shot off his mouth, acting like a big shot, they haven't won since. Am I wrong?
No, they won the week after, but then that was it.
But after that, it was all downhill.
Yeah.
You know, shame on him for that.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
Have Bill Belichick?
No, I don't want him. No.
Okay.
No.
Have a good day.
You too.
Thank you, John.
Thanks for the call. Got to throw in a little Eagle stuff. I'll be visiting next door to tell them my take after the show. 609-407-1450, a rare moment that we have some open lines here, 609-407-1450. It is Talk with a Purpose, Saturdays 9 till noon, WPG, Talk Radio 95.5. Hour number one rapidly coming to a close. We will have maybe your calls and some final thoughts in hour number one right after these words.
When it comes to you and your family's financial wellness, there are so many things to talk about. We could go on forever. To help guide you along the way, Joe Yakovich has written a book called The Heart of Your Money, Inspiration for Financial Wellness. In the book, Joe talks about longevity, inflation, retirement surprises, and many other topics. For your free copy of The Heart of Your Money, call the office of Joe Yakovich at JML Financial at 856-751-1771 or email Joe at jyakovich@brokersifs.com. For over 37 years, Joe Yakovich has been helping families throughout the area navigate the difficulties of a sound financial plan. You'll find Joe's approach to be different and not just the cookie-cutter methods that are prevalent in today's world. The path to your financial wellness and or retirement starts with a call to Joe Yakovich at JML Financial Group. 856-751-1771. 856-751-1771. Or email Joe at jyakovich@brokersifs.com.
Joe Yakovich is registered with and securities and investment advisory services are offered through Brokers International Financial Services, LLC. Member SIPC. Brokers International Financial Services, LLC is not an affiliated company.
We are back here on Talk with a Purpose. If you want to email me during the week, you can. JDAD, V as in Victor, number 1, at Comcast.net. JDADV1 at Comcast.net. Of course, you can also like us on Facebook. Our Facebook address, at Talk with a Purpose, at Talk with a Purpose is our Facebook address. And it is Talk with a Purpose every Saturday, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. I'm John DeMasi. 609-407-1450 is our number here in the studio. I have a new nickname for our current governor. We're picking on governors today. Our current governor, Phil New Hairdo Murphy. Now that's appropriate. I mean, do you see that hairdo? If I didn't know any better, and I don't want to suggest, but you know, when people do that, there's a couple of things that are going on. Number one, they want to look younger. They're having a midlife crisis or whatever it is. And maybe he wants to appeal to the female side of the electorate. Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, Phil New Hairdo Murphy wants to put liquor sales in shopping malls. Yes. Now, could you see that? That's a new spin on shopping. You can dispute a charge because you said, well, you know what? I was a little drunk because I stopped at the liquor store. Could be bars or in shopping malls. Who knows? You can dispute your charge because you can say, I was drunk. This is Bill S-4265. This would narrowly increase liquor licenses in the state. Now, Murphy wanted more, but he settled for this. He's just been unbelievable in his quest for liquor stores. Remember this. During the pandemic, he closed churches, which was unconstitutional, but he didn't close liquor stores. Remember that? Yes, Phil Murphy. So it hasn't, he says it hasn't passed yet, but if it does, he will sign it. You know, there used to be, way back when, I mean, talk about way back, there used to be, in a couple of the malls in South Jersey, well, we didn't have, until we had Hamilton Mall here many years ago, we didn't have any malls here. But other malls in like Burlington and Camden County, they had taverns and liquor stores. But then I don't know what happened to that, but I guess they were outlawed. Who knows? But we did have them, and they were successful at the time. But now, well, Murphy just wants to flood those liquor licenses. I mean, flood. But he'll settle for more liquor licenses and liquor stores in shopping malls. What'll he think of next? He's got a couple years left. Maybe he will But you know where he's going with this, you know? 609-407-1450. What do you think about that? What do you think about Chris Christie resigning the campaign with his maybe 5% of the electorate? But he's out. So, and we say goodbye to him. Coming up in the next hour, in the next couple of hours, we'll be talking about another impeachment. Yeah, another impeachment? Is there another one? Oh, yeah. There's. We'll be talking again about the New Jersey State Legislature. What are they doing? Oh, you're going to be happy with this. And Bob Menendez, he's in the news. Oh, of course we'll talk about Donald Trump. It goes without saying we'll talk about Donald Trump and a few other things as well. 609-407-1450, as always, will be our number here in the studio, 609-407-1450. It is Talk with a Purpose every Saturday, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. I'm John DeMasi. Good to have you with us. And other things we'll talk about today. But this thing about impeachment is related to immigration. And you won't believe, I'll give you the numbers in the next hour. You won't believe, well, maybe again you will with this immigration thing, this illegal immigration thing. But it's incredible how many are crossing the border illegally. And they're just letting them go. I mean, why don't we build a hotel or something? Can you see that? The Howard Johnson illegals motel. I mean, that's how ridiculous it's getting. I just can't. I can't take this. It's the things that we're going to talk about in the next couple of hours will make your head spin. But we will continue on. 609-407-1450. That's our number here in the studio. Coming up in hour number 2, we'll talk about who's going to be impeached next. I mean, impeach everybody. Come on. Biden, Trump, Hunter Biden. He's not in office, but impeach him anyway. Just go through the list. And we'll impeach them all. Talk with the Purposes to show Saturdays 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. I'm John DeMasi. Again, 609-407-1450 is the number. Hour number 1 is in the books. Hour number 2 is on the way. And you know what we say. Don't go away.
WPGG Atlantic City, WENJ HD3 Millville, a Town Square media station. Everything you need to know in 6 minutes starts now. WPG Talk Radio 95.5 presents Talk with a Purpose. Join the conversation by calling 609-407-1450. Now the host of Talk with a Purpose, John DeMasi.
Hour number 2, Talk with a Purpose every Saturday, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. And as the man said, I'm John DeMasi. Good to have you with us, as always, here on Talk with a Purpose. I was going to start out this hour, and we'll get to Bob and John in just a minute. But I wanted to really bring this up first before we get to all the other stuff. This you're not going to believe this, okay? But it's typical of where we are today in society. Another Donald Trump dust-up with the liberal media. In fact, the king of all liberals, we turn to Hollywood. That's right. Well, isn't that where all the liberals are? They are attempting to remove Donald Trump's star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Now, you know that thing on the Chinese Theater, Grauman's, and the Walk, and all of the... Yeah, that's a big deal if you get a star. I mean, everybody gets a star. Back in 2007, they gave Donald Trump the star for his work on The Apprentice, top-rated show at the time, and his work on the Miss Universe pageant. Now, they want to remove it. Something that has never been done before. By the way, Bill Cosby still has a star. They don't say nothing about him. I mean, there's a sexual predator. They don't, leave him on there. The former president and chief executive of the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce, his name is Laurent Gubler. He said in 2015, once a star is there, it cannot be removed. It is considered part of the historic fabric of the Hollywood Walk of Fame. That's what he said at the time. This is the work of Hollywood Hills resident Andrew Rudick. Over the last 3 years, he has submitted public records requests, retrieved case documents from the L.A. County Superior Court, spoken at Los Angeles City Council meetings, and he's corresponded with government officials. This is one determined guy. And he's trying to take Trump off the Walk of Fame, and he's leaving Bill Cosby on there? And by the way, so you'll know, the star has been vandalized and smashed several times, costing more than $20,000 in repairs, and that happened starting in 2016, coincidentally, when Trump was elected. One street artist placed prison bars on the star in 2021, and he brought a toilet, a bathtub, and stacks of fake documents to the site in 2023 in a reference to Mar-a-Lago and all that stuff. This is ridiculous. I mean, just leave it alone. If they're leaving Cosby there, leave this alone, okay? Just stop with this. And this guy going to city council meetings and government agencies and all of this to try to get it's not going to be removed. That's just not what they do. Otherwise, Cosby would be removed. I mean, this is part of the culture today. Oh, that statue that was there since 1850, you got to take it down. Well, you know, this is part of the culture, I guess. I don't know. But I think Trump's walk will stay. His star on the Walk of Fame will stay. Bob and Cape May, well, he's in Florida. Okay. Rub it in, Bob. Go ahead. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
Hey, John. No, it really has been a cool, cloudy few weeks here in Florida. It's about the coolest January I can remember. But anyway, look, you've heard of Roman Polanski, haven't you, John?
Mm-hmm.
So,
oh yeah,
an absolute sleazebag.
Oh yeah,
molested underage girls, like 12, 13-year-old girls.
Yes.
And I think he had asylum in France. I don't think he's ever been brought to justice, to my knowledge.
No, he hasn't.
I just wonder if his name is on the Hollywood, or his star is on that wall of fame in Hollywood, because Hollywood's run by essentially by degenerates. Let's face it, they hate America. There is no sense of morality anymore. The movies, I remember movies when you and I were growing up, and for the most part, what you saw on television had a sense of a lot of what we were exposed to had a sense. There was some redeeming value in it. There was right and wrong.
Yes.
But no more. I mean, no more at all. We've lost that for decades. But look, what I called about here is the New Jersey all-star lineup of governors, and no wonder our state is in such a terrible condition. Christie Whitman, a hypocrite who, lowered taxes but increased the size of government and increased spending like you wouldn't believe. Jim McGreevey, need I say more? We talked about him last week. John Corzine continued the spending. A Wall Street con artist did a lot of illegal things on Wall Street, apparently got away with it. And Chris Christie, he is the real tragedy for New Jersey. The real tragedy, because he had the political goodwill to make some real fundamental changes. But he did none of that. It was all about Chris Christie. It was not about changing our tax structure, our ability to spend and kill the taxpayers in New Jersey. And that never happened under Chris Christie. It was all about promoting himself, and that's why he's so unpopular. That's why the Republican Party took such a big hit after Christie left office.
That's right.
We were devastated.
Yeah.
But the worst governor in all that group of miscreants is Phil Murphy. Absolutely the worst. The worst.
Yeah, I agree.
But it's amazing there. I have not seen his latest makeover, John, because I know he's grown. I guess he's gone to the same hair transplant guy that Plugs Biden went to.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got. Does he have hair now?
He does. Yeah,
and he's got blonde hair. The salt and pepper hair now went to. I guess it's blonde now.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It's amazing what the fountain of youth you find in politics. So, but it just we had in New Jersey, we had an opportunity, and I had such horrible feelings for the establishment GOP in New Jersey. And about 20 years ago, we had a candidate named Brett Schundler who did get the Republican nomination for governor, ran against McGreevey. He beat a guy named Donnie DeFrancesco, who was horrible in the Republican primary. Donnie DeFrancesco was the acting governor when Christie Whitman went to the EPA under another country club Republican, George Bush. But Brett Schundler would have changed New Jersey for the good. I mean, he had a plan where New Jersey spending on the state level and local level would have been capped. It would have been tied to the inflation rate, John. And really, this state economically would have been great. Our balance sheet would have been tremendously better. But you know what? The voters picked the sleazebag Jim McGreevey. And, we wouldn't have had tolls on the Garden State Parkway. Those tolls were supposed to be eliminated after the bond issue was paid for in like the early 2002 or 3. And the federal government would have funded 70% of the parkway cost. So, the politicians in New Jersey wanted to keep the patronage jobs on the parkway, and they re-upped the bond issue. So now we have to pay these outrageous tolls in New Jersey also. Again, that would have changed. And, the voters didn't have their eyes open. The Republican establishment went against Brett Schundler. They didn't really support him. And it does matter. Elections do matter.
Oh, yes, they do.
We had a chance. We really had a chance.
Yeah.
I mean, I raised a ton of money for Brett Schundler in Cape May County. I went up and down the county to raise money for him, and I was very successful. And we in our hotel industry, John, the room tax would have been eliminated had Brett Schundler won. We would not have had a room tax.
Oh, boy.
That is right. And, but, again, it's just amazing, how the machine politics in New Jersey is just poisoning things. It really is.
Yeah. And you know what? Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
After Murphy is done, don't be surprised if his wife is successful in her run for the Senate. Don't be surprised.
That'd be terrible. But
it looks. I mean, she's vying for that seat from Menendez, and he's not going to get reelected if he makes it to then. But
no.
Yeah, so we could have another 11 years of a Murphy.
It's the last thing we need.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
But John, it's just. A Republican hasn't won a Senate seat, I think, since Millicent Fenwick.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
1980s.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
So, but, the very fact that we knew Bobby Menendez, we knew what he was.
Yeah.
Last time he ran, we knew what he was.
Yeah.
And look, we have a chance. We do have a chance to salvage things in New Jersey. It would start with the election of Jack Chitterelli.
That's right. That's what
Absolutely.
We're getting ready to have him on a lot here on the show.
That's right, John. You really pushed Jack's candidacy. You did a lot for him. Unfortunately, the Republican National Committee didn't fund him at all. Had they funded him, he could have won. He was so close.
He was close. Yeah, he was close. Yeah, I agree. So, but this time we're going to get him in. Bob, as always, thanks for the call. John in Ocean City. John, good morning.
Yes, good morning. Regarding Roman Polanski, on his hiatus in Europe while his wife Sharon Tate had been murdered, he had touched down in New York, and it was at a upscale restaurant. He was hitting on waitresses while Sharon Tate's family were. Yeah, that's what I've heard. Now, you think that's far-fetched nonsense. Roman Polanski raped a 13-year-old girl and had to flee America.
Yeah.
So the elite are dirtbags, man. They're a bunch of dirtbags. They always were, and they always will be. But regarding President Trump not handling the illegal immigration problem properly, remember, it was President Trump that wanted to put a wall up on our southern border. As President Trump wanted to do that.
Yeah.
And, his hands were tied, even though his hands were tied. Now, understand that in 1993, a Democrat president named Bill Clinton had signed NAFTA into law, North American Free Trade Agreement, which is really trade piracy waged against the United States. And it's provable. It was Barack Obama that took $11 billion American taxpayer monies, bailed out GMC, General Motors, and then opened up a Ford plant with another $3.2 billion American taxpayer monies in Mexico City. That's NAFTA for you. He also signed in 1993 GATT, General Agreements on Tariffs and Trade, which put a strangulation of tariffs on Americans that wanted to trade from America. They wanted to do business from America. He also repealed Glass-Steagall. That was Carter Glass and Henry Steagall had written that law. The Glass-Steagall Act into law in 1933 to protect American depositors from bank speculators. So that was repealed, and also remember, it was President Trump that signed into law USMCA, the United States, Canada, and Mexico Agreement, that countered that trade piracy, and he also brought 500,000 manufacturing jobs back to America. So we need a businessman, a sharp businessman, and also somebody had mentioned to me that. He's confused about who President Trump's going to take on as a running mate. Now, he heard speculation about Ben Carson, then he heard speculation about Tulsi Gabbard, Tim Scott, or who's it going to be. But that's what we like about President Trump. He's unpredictable. That's why he scared the AT double hockey sticks out of those people around the world. They didn't want to mess with Donald Trump. Yeah, that's why we like him. That's why we voted for him. Not heads. Thanks for letting me call in.
All right, John. Thanks for the call. 609-407-1450. That's our number here in the studio, 609-407-1450. It is Talk with a Purpose every Saturday, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. I'm John DeMasi. We'll have lots more of your calls and lots more things to talk about, including, we're going to talk about this. The Republicans are trying to impeach somebody, and it's not Hunter, and it's not President Sleepy Joe. We'll talk about that coming up in just a moment. But first, we want to talk about, this is the part of the show where we talk about good stuff. Lexus courtesy of Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. One of the finest automobiles on the market today. In fact, it gets rated top 2 or 3 by every rating service there is imaginable. And you can check it out yourself and you'll see, they're top-notch vehicles. You know, I've got a lot of miles on my car, and I bought the car. So now I'm going to be, refurbishing and refixing and doing all kinds of things. But, they tell me I can have this car for 10 years and it'll still run. Can you imagine? I mean, just think about it. 10 years with a car. I don't know. Hey, I'll let you know in 10 years if I still have it. Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road, EHT. Online, aclexus.com, aclexus.com. And if you want to go new, that's great. But you want to go pre-owned, there is a slew of L-certified pre-owned vehicles. That's Lexus' way of saying, hey, these are top-notch vehicles. And that's really where you want to go if you're going pre-owned. Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road, EHT. Stop by this afternoon. See for yourself what they've got to offer. And stop by and say hi to Helen. She's one of the top salespeople there, and she'll take good care of you. Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road, EHT. Online at aclexus.com. We're coming back with more Talk with a Purpose in just a moment.
I'm Seth Grossman for libertyandprosperity.com. Last month, American Thinker published an article I wrote about the war in the Middle East. I call it 13 key facts about Israel that are known by very few Americans. I invite you to Google it or look it up at libertyandprosperity.com. One is that Palestine was never an Arab nation. It was the name that a Roman emperor gave to Israel after he crushed a Jewish rebellion there. Another is that most of Israel or Palestine was mostly empty malaria swamp and desert until about 100 years ago. Most Arabs did not move there until after Jews drained the swamps, watered the deserts, and planted trees and crops. Learn more about these and other important facts about Jews, Christians, and Arabs in and around Israel. Visit libertyandprosperity.com. Help us reach more people. Join our weekly breakfast. Donate what you can to keep us on the air and online. libertyandprosperity.com.
Chances are you've tasted the delicious fruits and vegetables from B.F. Mazzio, but didn't know it. That's because B.F. Mazzio has a huge wholesale division that delivers to area restaurants, schools, hospitals, and more. If you own a restaurant or run a commercial kitchen, call B.F. Mazzio's wholesale division at 609-641-6608. That's 609-641-6608. And don't forget B.F. Mazzio at 601 New Road in Northfield. Call 609-641-6608.
Back here on Talk with a Purpose, there is a way that you can listen to any of our shows at any time. It is called the podcast. Yes, the podcast. All you do is Google John DeMasi Podcasts, and all of our shows that we've done in the past come up. It's really simple. And there you go. I've done it myself. The list of shows, over 200 now. And who knows what I talked about in show number 161. I don't know. What you can find out. Listen at any time. John DeMasi Podcasts. Google that, and all of the shows will come up. It is Talk with a Purpose every Saturday, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. And I'm John DeMasi. Good to have you with us. So who are the Republicans trying to impeach? No, it's not Hunter. No. It's not Joe. Not him either. Well, they tried, and that's in the works, but that probably won't go anywhere. They are attempting to impeach Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, who they intend to prove is derelict in his duty over the handling of the surge of migrants at the U.S.-Mexico border. The chairman of the Homeland Security Committee his name is Representative Mark Green, launched the impeachment proceedings. By the way, are you ready for this? Mayorkas is allowing about 10,000 crossings a day. Think about that. 10,000? Okay. I want you to imagine this. Now you're in one of the casinos and you're seeing a concert. They hold about 5,000, okay? Double that. Double that. And it's coming across our border into our country every day. So, which means by the end of the week, you'd have enough people to fill a stadium. Think about that. This is crazy. And what do they do with them? Oh, send some to New York. Oh, by the way, they're letting some of them off in New Jersey. So don't think we're immune to this. But anyway, Speaker Mike Johnson called Mayorkas the leading perpetrator of the border problem. Huh? Congress is now going to have to take the next step and hold him accountable. I mean, this is pure incompetence. I mean, but this has been this way since Biden took office. Just remember that when you're going to the polls this coming November. Added Speaker Johnson, the evidence documented throughout this report will demonstrate that Mayorkas has been and continues to be derelict in the solemn duty to secure the nation's borders. This is what the panel who brought this action concluded in their initial report. So the question is Mayorkas responsible? Is Biden responsible? Well, maybe they both are. Somebody is, and we are continuing with this border crisis. I mean, stop and think about this. And again, put it in this perspective of, you know, you're in the casino and you're watching a concert, and double the amount that's in that concert comes across the border in a day. So then in a week, you can fill a stadium up. What about a month? You don't want to think about that. And, you know, they bus them to New York. Well, the mayor of New York said, "Oh, we don't want this. This is too much." So what's happening is some of them, they're dropping them off in Secaucus, and they're taking the train into New York. What? Oh, I'm waiting for them to drop them off in Atlantic City. Could you see that? Can you see Marty Small if they're dropping them off in Atlantic City? It's too much. It's too much, really. The border crisis continues, and we are not doing anything about it. And is there somebody who's going to step up? Now Congress is trying to impeach Mayorkas, but okay, maybe that does something, but is it going to solve the problem? I don't think so. We just got to stop letting these people in. And that's all I can say about that. I mean, stop letting them in. It just doesn't stop. 609-407-1450. We have a rare moment in the show where we have some open lines. 609-407-1450. It is Talk with a Purpose. Saturdays 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. I'm John DeMasi. 609-407-1450. Couple of local issues. This is one of them. And you're not going to like this. In fact, you'll probably hate this. Okay? In case you didn't notice, New Jersey lawmakers are giving themselves a raise. And not just a raise, A raise. A raise. I mean, you know what? In my next life, I'm going to come back as a politician. I really am. This is just, listen to this. On Monday, New Jersey lawmakers increased their salaries. Now, this doesn't take effect till 2026, so we got some time. $49,000 a year is what they get now. You ready for the new salary? $82,000 a year. 82 for part-time work. They work Monday and Thursday. I don't know about you, but I work every day, including Saturday and Sunday. Well, you get the day off, Chris? Once in a while, yeah. Can you imagine getting $82,000 a year to work Monday and Thursday? Now, there are things they do. You know, they're out there meeting people and attending meetings at other times. But the point is, that's a full-time job, $82,000 a year. They only work Monday and Thursday. There are a lot of jobs around like that. Let's go online and check out jobs and see what they're paying. And they're not paying $82,000 for 2 days a week. I guarantee you that. In fact, they're paying less for a lot more work. I told you, I gotta come back as a politician. By the way, the governor, he'll get a raise, but Murphy won't get it because he'll be out of office then. But it will go from $175,000 to $210,000. $210,000. And of course, Phil Murphy needs the money, but he's not going to get any of that. Oh boy. Nice work being a politician, isn't it? It's incredible. It is Talk with a Purpose every Saturday 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. I'm John DeMasi. 609-407-1450. I guess I'm going to get in trouble now. Don Guardian's on the line. He may not like me after that. We'll talk to him, and maybe we'll talk to you as well. 609-407-1450. I'm John DeMasi. More Talk with a Purpose in just a moment.
Joe Yakovich is registered with, and securities and investment advisory services are offered through Brokers International Financial Services, LLC. Member SIPC. Brokers International Financial Services, LLC is not an affiliated company.
When it comes to you and your family's financial wellness, there are so many things to talk about. We could go on forever. To help guide you along the way, Joe Yakovich has written a book called The Heart of Your Money, Inspiration for Financial Wellness. In the book, Joe talks about longevity, inflation, retirement surprises, and many other topics. For your free copy of The Heart of Your Money, call the office of Joe Yakovich at JML Financial at 856-751-1771 or email Joe at jyakovich@brokersifs.com. For over 37 years, Joe Yakovich has been helping families throughout the area navigate the difficulties of a sound financial plan. You'll find Joe's approach to be different and not just the cookie-cutter methods that are prevalent in today's world. The path to your financial wellness and or retirement starts with a call to Joe Yakovich at JML Financial Group. 856-751-1771. 856-751-1771. Or email Joe at jyakovich@brokersifs.com.
Your WPG Talk Radio 95.5 AccuWeather forecast for South Jersey. We've got a coastal flood advisory and a wind advisory in effect through this afternoon. Going to be windy and mild with clouds and sunshine, the high 57, but temps fall into the lower 40s. Clear to partly cloudy, windy and colder tonight, low 31. Becoming windier, cooler tomorrow with periods of sun with a snow shower in the afternoon, high up to 45. I'm AccuWeather's Ruth O'Brien on WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Back here on Talk with a Purpose, 609-407-1450. That's our number here in the studio. Well, I guess I'm going to get my comeuppance now. Don Guardian is on the line. Don, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
Good morning, John. We're both on the same page. An absolute disgrace. I can tell you that everyone that spoke against it was a Republican. No one spoke for it. But when the time came to vote, you can be sure Claire and I voted against it. So did our counterparts in Cape May, Antoine and Eric. We knew what the job was. We're the ones that wanted it. We knew what the amount of money was. This is a disgrace that we're the ones who decide what kind of raise we should get. If you think we should have gotten a raise, it should have gone to the public. You should have voted on it. And if all the public thinks we should have got a raise, then so be it. But you didn't take the job for the money, and I got it that you didn't raise it for 26 years, but we knew it was going to be $45,000 or $49,000 going in. It at least pays for the gas and the transportation. But it's absolutely wrong for you to be raising your own money. When I was mayor, I took personally a $40,000 cut each year for the 4 years because of the dire situation Atlantic City is in. I know the city is flush with money. I'm sorry, the state, but it doesn't make a difference and stuff. You're absolutely right. We should have not given ourselves a raise, and we certainly should not be able to vote on our own raises. This is just crazy.
Yeah, one of the things I thought of was it's 26 years since you haven't gotten a raise. Okay, so you deserve a raise. But why don't you go like $49,000 to maybe $53,000, then maybe 2 years later $57,000, something like that. But to go from 49 to 82, that's really.
Let me get you more upset. So they figured if we got 2% raise every year for the last 26 years, that's what it come out with. If you read the rest of the bill, what they added at the end is that after we get the $80,000, it's going to go up. Whatever the cost of living is automatically every year, not to exceed 2% a year. So we're not just giving ourselves a raise now, we're giving ourselves a raise in perpetuity.
Oh, boy. Oh,
yeah.
Boy.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So, yep. Yeah, and I don't, I could be wrong. There may have been a Republican maybe that got voted out of office that voted for it, but I don't think so. If you look at it, all the Republicans voted no. It's bad policy, bad concept. And listen, I got it. I was taking away $40,000 a year from myself. So be it.
Yeah. Well, Don, thanks for calling in and thanks for clarifying your position. We certainly do appreciate it.
Yep. Just heading out now, we have a peace walk in Atlantic City, obviously well needed. Over at O'Donnell Park, we're walking up to City Hall. It starts just about the time your show ends.
Okay.
Have a nice weekend.
You too. You too. Thanks for the call. Well, we got that clarified. Blame the Democrats once again. 609-407-1450. That's our number here in the studio, 609-407-1450. Well, look, I thought he was going to say something else, but boy, he was right on the money. I mean, that's a ridiculous thing to raise yourself. I mean, 67%? I tell you what, you go to your boss, for those of you still working, or in your own business, give yourself a raise of 67% on Monday. Or if you're working for somebody, go in and say, hey, I need a raise, 67%. See where that gets you. Maybe out the door. 609-407-1450. While we're on the local scene, you talk about chutzpah, which I love some of those Jewish words. Senator Bob Menendez seeks dismissal of his criminal charges. His lawyers told a judge in New York that federal prosecutors are making claims that are outrageously false and distort reality. Recently, the indictment was updated with charges that Menendez used his political influence to secretly advance Egypt's interests and that he acted favorably to a Qatar's government to aid a businessman. A trial is scheduled for May. In the meantime, there's another senator, Senator John Fetterman of Pennsylvania, has continually urged Menendez to resign, which of course he won't do. Menendez has professed innocence from the beginning. Oh, didn't he do that last time? And he was acquitted and he ran again. Here we go again. As one of the callers said, we know what Menendez is, and we here in New Jersey know what he is. And for people to go in there in that voting booth and vote him in again is a disgrace. And I don't think he's going to make it this time. But as I said earlier, I was telling one of the callers that Tammy Murphy is going to run. So it's just a never-ending cycle here of politicians who are going to run. So we'll see with that. But Menendez, you know, he is just so arrogant. I mean, they find gold bars in his house. Who has gold bars in their house? I know. Oh, you do, Chris? Mm-hmm. Oh, where are they? So I can come and steal them. I mean, this guy, you know, my old boss used to say, and I've told you this before, and I'll clean this up so you don't have to keep your hand on the button, Chris. Don't urinate in my ear and tell me it's raining. Well, that's what Menendez does. He tells us that, but it's raining, okay? He's got gold bars in his house. Doesn't your neighbor have gold bars in his house? Maybe my neighbor does. I don't know. I think I'll do a survey in my neighborhood. Do you have gold bars in your house? I think I'm crazy, you know. But that's what we're stuck with here. So Menendez. He should definitely be reelected. 609-407-1450. 609-407-1450. It is Talk with a Purpose every Saturday, 9 till noon, right here on WPG Talk Radio 95.5. And by the way, if you want to go away and you want to listen online, you can always listen online. WPGTalkRadio.com. WPGTalkRadio.com is our website. We have Dan in Linwood. Dan, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
Remember, those gold bars were supposedly stolen.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. How many do you have in your house, Dan?
Oh, I just got a big pile. I've lost count. Oh, wait a minute, Bob's coming in now. Hey, okay. This idea with the car is the one that's going to is going to be the problem. When I guess a man and his wife unfortunately had an accident, and I think there might have been a fatality. And the car was, I guess, bashed up, and their friends supposedly replaced their car with a $63,000 Mercedes.
Yeah, that happens a lot, doesn't it? I mean, people buy you a car.
Oh, geez, I don't know. Maybe let's take two examples. We got the $63,000 Mercedes, but that's topped by the $144,000 Porsche that Hunter got.
Oh, yes, that's right. That's right. That's hey, with the money that he would have paid in his taxes, but he used that for something else, like drugs and hookers and strippers and all that stuff, all that good stuff.
And that came from the photo. Those were the guys in the photo at the restaurant in Washington.
Yes.
And I guess the guy to the furthest to the left, he's the one who sent the check for $143,500 and even some cents, whatever it might have been, or some odd dollars, but it was the exact amount. And, told Hunter, go down to the dealership.
Yeah.
But somebody gives you a check, $143,000, and that's what we call something with the IRS. You could put whatever name you want on it.
Yeah.
143,000, and you're gonna have to answer for it.
That's right. No, that's right.
But if somebody lets you go and they start dancing around the mulberry bush and the statute of limitations run out,
yeah,
then what happens?
Yeah.
Then the taxpayer misses out on $1.4 million.
Yeah, that's really it.
We're so backwards here. They have, when you talk about the representatives, I mean, you vote, but the problem is the process. There's no compensation committee. The people who get the raises vote themselves the raises.
That's right.
How would you vote?
I would vote for myself to get a raise.
Why not?
Yeah.
And they can be reasonable raises. There could be, what number did you put on it percentage-wise?
67%.
Okay. And what would you think? You're a man of the world. What do you think the market rate is?
I would say probably between 3 and 5%.
There you go. If they were giving them regular raises over, I guess they haven't had a raise in so long. 26 years. But if they were, and you give raise on merit too.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't show up for work or something happens, or you look at it. But if you give it 3 to 4%, the public's not going to complain about that. But when you put the number you put on it,
yeah,
they look at their own lot in life and say, wait a minute, if I go to my boss and say, I make 30, now give me 80. I don't know. That's going to work.
Yeah, that's not going to fly. No.
Unless it's Hunter's negotiating that with the art dealer.
Yeah.
My favorite thing was the comparison between the I guess it was a Monet and a Rodin.
Yeah.
And the top seller was Hunter, sold for more than both of those. Yeah. All of a sudden, this newfound talent. He came out of nowhere.
He's an art dealer.
Yeah. Can you imagine? And the stun he pulled, it was kind of cute, but what I would have done if I'm the House Sergeant at Arms, as soon as I seen his presence in there, I would have got him.
Yeah.
I would have said, you didn't answer the subpoena. We're going to hold you. We have a cell here, actually.
Yeah. Yeah,
we're going to hold you in there until you agree to testify. And if you don't, you can testify to what you want. You could plead the fifth, drink the fifth, do whatever you want. But, you have to do it.
Yeah. Well, look at it this way. He has spent his whole life privileged. I mean, because you figure he was a little kid. His father got elected to the Senate. What was it, 1972?
It was 72.
Yeah. So he has been privileged his whole life. So he doesn't know any better.
Well, according to your point is well taken. I mean, it's he's been doing this for decades.
Yeah. So
and you can't convince Joe Biden it was 1972. He still thinks it's 1965, where him and Strom Thurmond were, he was convincing Strom Thurmond to vote for the Civil Rights Act, which of course Strom voted against.
Yeah,
and he wasn't a senator for another 7 years. So
yeah.
Joe's got a problem.
Yeah, he's got the timeline wrong. Hey Dan, thanks for calling in. Good to hear from you again. 609-407-1450 after the break, Craig, and then maybe you, 609-407-1450, as hour number 2 rapidly comes to a close. Talk with a Purpose, Saturdays, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Wrapping up hour number 2 right after these words.
When it comes to you and your family's financial wellness, there are so many things to talk about. We could go on forever. To help guide you along the way, Joe Yakovich has written a book called The Heart of Your Money, Inspiration for Financial Wellness. In the book, Joe talks about longevity, inflation, retirement surprises, and many other topics. For your free copy of The Heart of Your Money, call the office of Joe Yakovich at JML Financial at 856-751-1771 or email Joe at jyakovich@brokersifs.com. For over 37 years, Joe Yakovich has been helping families throughout the area navigate the difficulties of a sound financial plan. You'll find Joe's approach to be different and not just the cookie-cutter methods that are prevalent in today's world. The path to your financial wellness and or retirement starts with a call to Joe Yakovich at JML Financial Group. 856-751-1771. 856-751-1771. Or email Joe at jyakovich@brokersifs.com.
Joe Yakovich is registered with and securities and investment advisory services are offered through Brokers International Financial Services, LLC. Member SIPC. Brokers International Financial Services, LLC is not an affiliated company.
If you would like to email me during the week, you can. jdadv1@comcast.net. jdadv1@comcast.net. And of course, you can like us on Facebook at Talk with a Purpose. At Talk with a Purpose is our Facebook address. And it is Talk with a Purpose every Saturday 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Let's talk to Craig in Northfield. Craig, welcome back.
Hey, John, thanks for having me back. You know, you're going to have Joe Wumps afterwards. If you could do me a favor, if you could ask him about the SEC approving the Bitcoin there. I'd really like to hear about that.
Well, he's not going to be on for 2 more weeks.
Uh-oh. Okay. Yeah,
so you can save that for 2 weeks.
Okay. So anyway, you're talking about impeachment. How about that defense secretary there?
Yeah.
Sedated, huh? We're shooting off. Did you know that you actually had it on your newsprint?
Yes.
After I came on, what did they say, John?
How
many missiles? 66 missiles.
Yeah. Yeah, but I thought you were talking about the fact that he was in the hospital, and now they say he should resign because nobody knew about it, but he told the Biden administration, and they didn't know about it, but then they said they knew about it. So I thought you were talking about that. That's another fiasco.
I'm not allowed to say what I want to say, but it starts with B, and it ends with a T.
Okay.
Okay. So, for that's actually before when I was on. I wasn't talking about that so much, but I'm talking about, the defense secretary, guess what? When you're sedated, number one, there's a whole barrage of stuff that goes on with that. And,
yes.
You got a number 2 guy and then the number 2 guy to the 2 guy.
Yes.
And then you got all these assistants that go down to a chain of command that's going to take care of that. We're talking about the whole world here.
Yeah.
We're not talking about an isolated department that takes care of window washing here.
Right.
We're talking about ships.
Yep.
We're talking about an army. We're talking about an air force and space force. Am I correct?
Yes.
That's a lot to maneuver.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you're going to put yourself under and say, oh, what happened? Oh, well, we shot off 66 missiles, and you're going to sign off on that now.
Jeez.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So it really is going into the calamity of what we got, though, because we got the Assistant Secretary of Health, wearing heels and changed the hair from a crew cut to a wig. And then you got and so, John, maybe that's just in keeping, because don't forget the assistant or something, nuclear, remember the nuclear person? The guy that had the colored hair that was stealing women's dresses out of their luggage from the airport?
Yeah.
Oh, that's who our number 2 one was. So you could see it's really like a circus, like when you go to the circus and you see the clown show.
Yeah.
Before the actual circus, I think that's really what we got going on there.
Yeah, that's right.
But I wanted to touch base with you just about that Menendez. See, remember I told you that Menendez was going to go down because he didn't sign off on those missiles. Okay, for one of those countries that are now, part of, what do you call that, NATO. So, and if you noticed, okay, the New York mayor, have you noticed him lately?
Yeah.
What's he saying? Well, we're going to take the money out of the state budget, so you people are going to suffer.
Yeah.
And we're going to take... You're leaving the school system, you people that paid the taxes for that with your houses, and we're going to put these people in the school, and they're going to get your education that your children should get, right?
Boy.
Now,
notice,
you know what he stopped saying?
What did he stop saying?
He stopped saying that it was they got to do something about the wall.
Yeah.
You know why?
Yeah.
Why? Do you know why, though, John?
No, I don't know why.
Oh, come on. He got indicted.
Yeah, that's right. That's
and
right.
Why did he get indicted? Because he brought up the wall. And when he stopped bringing up the wall, all of a sudden you're not hearing too much about that indictment anymore, right?
Yeah.
They did take his phone, right?
Yeah.
Okay. See how that's how the Biden administration plays. And that's the key part there. You do great commercials. I just want to say something that, with the Lexus team over there. I remember I told you, take a look at that GX there. I want you to take a look at that. Did you see it?
I didn't see it, no. Because I was there a couple of weeks ago, and I was looking at another vehicle, but I ended up buying my car, so.
That's okay. They gave you such a sweet deal on that car. Believe me, after you take a look at that, I'm just going to put a little right in your mind when you look at that vehicle, because they totally redesigned the GX, and now they got a thing called the TX in there also, which is a little bit more. And these big vehicles have been totally redesigned, and heartbeat of Toyota. But, it's a really nice vehicle there, John. I'm just going to say this to you. You know who Lutz is? You know, the guy that does all those, where he gets groups of people and he gets their opinions to see how the elections are going.
Yes, yes.
The guy with the toupee?
Yes.
Who was living with McCarthy. Did you know that?
No.
Oh, yeah. Him and McCarthy were sharing an apartment. You didn't know that?
No.
Oh, yeah, down in D.C. And McCarthy said, well, it's so expensive to live in Washington, I had to share an apartment. Well, of all people, you couldn't find somebody in your party? You know what I'm saying? He actually was sharing an apartment, our speaker, with a guy that hated Trump. So my point being is, even Lutz came out. Seth, I want you to listen to this. Even Lutz came out and says, I can't believe it. A president that went down, even after an insurrection, can beat Joe Biden. And I'll leave you with that, John.
Yes. Well, I believe he can.
Yeah, me too.
Thanks for the call, Craig. And thanks for the commercial. Boy, Craig is a wealth of knowledge. I mean, I didn't know Kevin McCarthy was living with the guy Lutz. Maybe we should turn this show into a gossip hour. That would be good. Talk with a Purpose is the show. Saturdays 9 till noon. WPG Talk Radio 95.5. I'm John DeMasi. 609-407-1450. We're going to talk about a serious subject. Boy, I tell you, this abortion thing still getting me. But we'll talk about that and a couple other things in the next hour. 609-407-1450 is the number. Hour number 2 in the books. Hour number 3 on the way. Don't go away.
WPGG Atlantic City, WENJ HD3 Millville, a Town Square media station. Everything you need to know in 6 minutes starts now.
5.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5 presents Talk with a Purpose. Join the conversation by calling 609-407-1450. Now the host of Talk with a Purpose, John DeMasi.
Hour number 3, Talk with a Purpose, every Saturday 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Also heard on 1450 AM and online, WPGTalkRadio.com. That's all the ways you can listen to us. And we do appreciate you listening to the program here every Saturday 9 till noon. We're going to talk this hour. What's a show without a Joe Biden story? We touched on Hunter a little bit. We're going to touch on him again. What's a show? There's not a show without talking about Joe Biden and talking about Hunter. And we'll mention a few other things. I want to get to this story on this abortion story, and it's a situation that really is confusing and complicated, but they kind of had the right outcome in the end, but we'll talk about that as well. But first, we want to talk to George in AC. George, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
Good morning. I'm looking for Mr. John DeMasi. Is he available?
Yeah, he's available.
Is he losing his mind just a little bit at a time?
Yeah, sort of, yes.
All right, that's good. We have to try to hold on to what little mind we have left.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. I haven't had a chance to listen too much. I've been in and out with a number of things to do, but I heard much of Seth's typical criticism of Trump and a little bit of Craig's rebuttal right afterwards.
Yes.
And then I was away for the next hour or whatever, and then I just turned the radio back on. I got the tail end of Craig again. Number one, there's no question in my mind that Donald Trump will absolutely be the nominee.
Yes.
And I also heard, of course, a lot of the commentary about this ass clown Chris Christie. So let's not, go over that again. But I mean, the bottom line is that there's varying degrees of this Trump disorder thing. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, and some people have it real bad. Some people sort of have it, but Seth, unfortunately, has the full-blown Trump derangement syndrome. I love Seth a lot, but, this is too much already. I mean, how about, and I love Seth, and he has really got facts, but he's also got opinion, and thank goodness he keeps referring to the fact that this is his opinion and not the opinion as an example of his organization and so on. So, I mean, we are all entitled to our opinions. Okay?
Yes.
But the most important thing of all, in my opinion, about Trump's first presidency, first, you got to put a whole frame of reference around it.
Yes.
That involves so many things. Beginning with the Russia, like Trump says, and so on, and it goes on and on and on. Okay, and the Obama people spying into his campaign, and not just spying into his campaign with the FBI, and all the stuff with the 51 whatever, the lying sacks of whatever, these saying that it's not Hunter's laptop or Russian disinformation. I mean, it went on and on. Yet this man, Trump, still fought to fulfill what he believed to be his obligation to his commitment to the people that elected him.
Yeah, you know what it's like, George? George, you know what it's like? It's like they should have, in all of the hospitals and medical facilities in this country, they should have a diagnosis for Trump derangement syndrome, because a lot of people have it.
It is absolutely real. Now, let me back up a little bit, okay, and give a little bit more about this frame of reference, okay? I mean, you can criticize him for not doing this or that or whatever in the political sphere.
Yes.
Trust me, Seth is right on mark about a lot of that, because I think it's Bob from Cape May, Florida, whatever, that was very clear about explaining that as to how he felt, and I understood when Bob explained it about how he felt that Trump's people dropped the ball on not pursuing a specific something in the political realm, okay?
Yes.
Regarding elections. I don't know enough about it, so I don't even want to go there. But the bottom line is, this man had so much going against him, including a pandemic. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Okay? Give the guy who, and now let me back up a bit, okay? This man is up before the crack of dawn every day of his life, and he works hard every day of his life, and he does not stop.
I know.
Now, he made a decision that he was going to run for president of the United States. Now, he's the exact same age I am, and I'm the same kind of person that he is as far as the activity level.
Yeah.
Okay? All right? As far as just like going and going and going, and just like taking naps or whatever, I mean, that's been my whole life. And I understand why he has the energy level that he has. Okay? I mean, he even was like accused of like, oh my God, so much time, and he must be doing cocaine. No. Let's back it up. Back it up when he was in the casino industry here, and subsequent to that with his development business, and before with his development. This man is up before the crack of dawn every day of his life, and he works to succeed in whatever it is that he's doing.
Yeah.
Even though there's trials and tribulations like bankruptcies when he was here in Atlantic City, I mean, the man is relentless, and it's a great, admirable quality that he has. He doesn't stop. So there's no human being that can straighten this ship that is literally falling apart before our very eyes, other than Donald Trump.
Yeah.
There is nobody out there.
Did you hear, speaking of Trump derangement, did you hear where I did the story earlier? They're trying to take his star off the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Did you hear that?
It's not going to stop.
I know.
It's not going to stop.
This guy's been after this thing for 3 years. I mean, you read this story and you say, I couldn't. I mean, I have a life, you know, we all have lives. To devote that kind of time to appear before council meetings and state governments and all that stuff to get.
Hey, listen, I was involved and ended up having to be involved with him with the tunnel project and the tunnel controversy.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
I was one of the 5 litigants.
I remember that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So don't tell me. And the man is a gentleman and he doesn't stop.
Yeah. George.
Okay. Now you can like him, you can love him, you can hate him. Okay. But the derangement syndrome is a real thing.
Yeah.
But this man's the only one that can straighten this country out.
I believe so.
The near abyss that we are on. And I'll make a political guess on, look, there's no question in my mind Trump's the nominee, okay?
Yeah.
I'd love to see this Vivek be his vice presidential pick, okay? This guy's fantastic in many ways, in my opinion, okay? But going past that, I can't imagine the Democrat Party allowing Biden to run for a second term.
Can you imagine?
By the time their convention comes around, okay, something is going to happen to topsy-turvy it, and he's going to be out of the picture, and forget about Kamala Harris, too. I don't know who it's going to be, but I know Michelle Obama's in the wings.
Yeah.
You know, this other ass clown from California's in the wings.
Yep.
So I can't imagine a national political party as inept as I think that they are, and how much they're driving this country into the ground, okay? I still can't imagine them allowing this guy to go for a second term.
Yeah.
But hey, what do I know?
Well, I'm wondering too. Thanks for the call, George. A lot of good stuff in that. I'm wondering too. But apparently, as of now, they're going to let him run. So, good luck. Bob is back. Bob in Cape May, South Florida, wherever he is. He's somewhere.
Hey, John. Look, a couple things here. So, look, just to explain to George what I was getting at in terms with where Trump dropped the ball, and I say this not really as a criticism of Trump, but I say it as a warning. Let's not have this election fraud perpetrated on us again. And essentially what it was here, Trump was warned in the spring of 2020 that the Democrats were going to change the election process, not legally through their state legislatures, but by mandates from various secretaries of states and governors that would allow mail-in universal ballots. The only way you can really change that by way of our Constitution is through the state legislature. So in Texas, the 10 most Democrat cities were going to all allow mail-in ballots. It wasn't going to be statewide, but that would have been enough to throw the election to Biden. Attorney General Paxton in Florida warned Trump, and the Attorney General Paxton was successful in beating all of these Texas cities that they were not permitted to do universal mail-in ballots. So that's, again, the warning was there. Hopefully this time the warnings will hopefully they learn something about this. Now, what I really called about here is, okay, why do we have Trump derangement syndrome? Well, we have it for a multitude of reasons, but the political establishment, the media establishment, the corporate establishment, they all hate Trump for, it's more than one reason, but the big reason is because Trump kept us out of foreign wars, foreign entanglements, to his credit. And, I'll get to specifics here. I heard this from Charlie Kirk, and I do believe this was accurate. So Mike Pence, Rex Tillerson, who was Trump's Secretary of State, and Mad Dog Mattis, who was the Defense Secretary, they all had a meeting together, and they were doing their best to try to get Trump to keep our troops in Afghanistan until 2040.
True.
All right? And because Trump went against the military-industrial complex lobby, that's why they hate him. That's one reason. And I think it's the biggest reason why they hate him. Okay, because the people that are able to profit on the blood and treasure of Americans, they don't like that. They do not like that.
No, they certainly don't.
So the candidate that we have to choose from, okay, and I love Governor Ron DeSantis, absolutely love him. But right now, and I agree with George, it's probably down to Trump and Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley is an absolute disaster. She's part of the Uniparty. There is no difference between Nikki Haley and the Socialist Democrats and a Republican. She's the darling of the Republican establishment.
Yeah.
The country club Republicans that with the Democrats are ruining the country. So there is no difference between the party with Nikki Haley and the Democrats when it comes to the foreign policy, to sending our troops all over the world to spill our blood and waste our treasure. When it comes to border policy, there's really no difference. When it comes to trade policy, no difference. Jobs all go to Asia. Good paying jobs go to Asia, and our working people get to go on welfare or work at Dunkin' Donuts or McDonald's. That's what it really comes down to. So she's an absolute danger. Hopefully she gets destroyed in the upcoming primaries. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
What do you think about her as vice president?
Horrible, John, because and my friend Tucker Carlson has vowed to campaign against the Trump Haley ticket. It's that bad. If he gets fooled into taking her as the vice president, she will do nothing but undermine him. In fact, it'll make him more of a target for assassination because she's part of the Uniparty. She is absolutely horrible. She's a disaster.
Yeah,
she's a disaster, John. She all this about and Trump does have a gender problem. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Right, but she's not the answer. She will. The question now becomes, if Trump picks her, is what are we fighting for?
Yeah.
Because she is the antithesis of his major policy objectives. She is against every one of them. So why are we fighting for this?
Yeah. It's an interesting choice, and We'll see. We'll see who he picks.
Well, I'll tell you, if you ever listen to Charlie Kirk, he's a really interesting young guy. He's only 30 years old. He founded Turning Point USA. It's a great organization. But, Charlie makes some great points. He's pushing. A lot of people in the conservative movement are pushing for this man to become vice president. He doesn't want it. And it's Tucker Carlson. He's right in line with Trump's policy objectives.
Yeah.
He appeals to white suburbanites. He's got the intellectual wherewithal to appeal to these people. He appeals to a younger generation. There's a lot there. There's a lot there to that now, but he doesn't want it, which makes him even more attractive. That he doesn't want it because these politicians that their ambition, their lust for power, that always hurts us.
Yeah, that's
the voters. True. Our interests sometimes get put on the back burner.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say this because I really love Governor DeSantis, but Governor DeSantis changed his position on the Ukraine war. Okay, he gave a long interview with Tucker Carlson. It's an hour-long interview where he made his position on Ukraine was that it was a regional conflict. We need to end it. We need to end the bloodshed, and we need to stop spending American money over there. He got a call from his number one billionaire donor named Ken Griffin the day after. And what happened? Well, Governor DeSantis unfortunately backpedaled. So that hurt DeSantis with a lot of people, including me.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's unfortunate, but
that's not good.
That's what happened. Yeah, thanks, Bob. Thanks for the call. We appreciate it. A lot of good stuff in that too. A lot of good stuff in our callers today. A lot of good stuff. We are coming up on a break. We got Greg, and then we got Andy, and maybe we'll have you at 609-407-1450. It is Talk with a Purpose, Saturdays 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. I'm John DeMasi. More of today's show after these words.
Chances are you've tasted the delicious fruits and vegetables from B.F. Mazzio, but didn't know it. That's because B.F. Mazzio has a huge wholesale division that delivers to area restaurants, schools, hospitals, and more. If you own a restaurant or run a commercial kitchen, call B.F. Mazzio's wholesale division at 609-641-6608. That's 609-641-6608. And don't forget B.F. Mazzio at 601 New Road in Northfield. Call 609-641-6608.
When it comes to you and your family's financial wellness, there are so many things to talk about. We could go on forever. To help guide you along the way, Joe Yakovich has written a book called The Heart of Your Money, Inspiration for Financial Wellness. In the book, Joe talks about longevity, inflation, retirement surprises, and many other topics. For your free copy of The Heart of Your Money, call the office of Joe Yakovich at JML Financial at 856-751-1771 or email Joe at jyakovich@brokersifs.com. For over 37 years, Joe Yakovich has been helping families throughout the area navigate the difficulties of a sound financial plan. You'll find Joe's approach to be different and not just the cookie-cutter methods that are prevalent in today's world. The path to your financial wellness and or retirement starts with a call to Joe Yakovich at JML Financial Group. 856-751-1771. 856-751-1771. Or email Joe at jyakovich@brokersifs.com.
Joe Yakovich is registered with, and securities and investment advisory services are offered through Brokers International Financial Services, LLC. Member SIPC. Brokers International Financial Services, LLC is not an affiliated company.
Oh, we're back. Talk with a Purpose every Saturday, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. You want to email me during the week? JDADV1 at Comcast.net. jdadv1 at Comcast.net. You can give me anything you want on an email. Pros, cons, program suggestions, whatever. jdadv1 at Comcast.net. Let's go to the phones. Greg and Absec. And Greg, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
This is Massey. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, there was a time in the history of mankind. If someone achieved sainthood,
yes,
and how he got there,
I don't know how. How did he get there?
They killed him.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, today we put up statues. We give them the stars. There's reasons why we do that. Otherwise, we'd probably kill them. But it's insane. There used to be a time they evaluated what a man did or what a woman did. They built him a statue. They put his name up on the marquee of the building. Today, our point in life is, well, we got to tear down the statues, take them off where they are, burn the stars, crush them, take the marquees off the buildings.
I mean,
we're going backwards.
Yeah.
And the thing that concerns me, we'll go back to the point where, well, let's just kill them.
Yeah. Well, hopefully.
I mean, it's insane.
Yeah. Well, you know, Seth brought up, or a caller brought up, that they wanted to take down the statue of William Penn. I think it was Seth brought it up. And I said to myself, I didn't hear that, but of course Seth had it, and I'm sure that's accurate.
No, it's true.
I mean, can you imagine what did William Penn do other than the fact that he was white? That's it.
And he was a Quaker.
Yeah, I mean,
he was the purest of the human beings.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he was. So, I mean,
he didn't have any slaves. I'll guarantee you.
Right. He didn't have slaves. He didn't believe in it.
Right.
Jeez.
We have a value system that no longer exists. There was a time everybody could carry a scale like justice.
Yeah.
And you had a right side and a wrong side. And you had to move the stones to the right or to the left. And it was, well, you're doing this personally. If you had a lot of stones on the right side of growing up, you were going to heaven.
Yeah.
If they're on the other side, you're going to hell.
Yeah.
There was a value system.
Yeah.
We don't have a value system anymore.
Unfortunately, no.
If they've done anything that was objectionable to anyone, take a statue down.
Yeah.
We'd be burning them at the stake. I mean,
that's right.
It's insane.
It's right. And thanks for the call, Greg. Appreciate it. And I think about, as Greg was talking, I thought about Kate Smith. Remember Kate Smith? The definitive version of God Bless America. They took her statue down. Now, during the war, Kate Smith sold, she sold thousands and thousands of dollars in war bonds to support our troops. And then I believe she championed an African-American artist, something like that. So she did those things. But they took her statue down because she sang a song way back, which at the time was not considered racist, but is considered now racist. So they took her statue down. And I remember we used to carry certain Flyers games here on this station. And afterwards, we stopped carrying the Flyers game. And I commend our program director, who is Chris Coleman, for doing that. Because there was no way. And the Flyers did that in the middle of the night. And who knows where the statue is today, but it may even be destroyed. Who knows? But they took that down for the fact that she sang a song That's why God made darkies or something. And it was not a race. At that time, it was not considered racist. It was a comedy. Oh, well. Andy in Brigantine. Andy, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
Morning, John. It's a great day in Brigantine.
It sure is.
That song was actually part of a Broadway show that was actually written to mock racism. It's just like All in the Family. The Archie Bunker character was an effort to make racists or, look foolish. Foolish.
Yeah.
And what was left out of that whole conversation at that time was that many artists that were black sang that song as well, had recordings of it, like Louis Armstrong.
Yeah.
So, but they didn't talk about that too much. It had to be the Kate Smith aspect. But so anyway, on to the topic about Donald Trump. If you want to know whether or not you want to vote for Donald Trump or whether you like Donald Trump or Nikki Haley, look at who likes them and look at who hates them. And that's how you should judge them. Look at the people who are embracing Nikki Haley. It's the rhinos, it's the left. They want Nikki Haley to be the nominee because even if Joe Biden loses and we get Nikki Haley, she's going to govern from the left.
Yeah.
She might have an R next to her name, but she's going to govern in many ways from the left.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, Donald Trump, and I listened to the same podcast that Bob listened to with Charlie Kirk. We were told that Trump was going to get us into wars. That was the whole big thing. Okay. Trump was the first president in 72 years that didn't get us into a new war and, in fact, ended wars.
Yes.
Conversely, Barack Hussein Obama, presided over war every single day of his presidency. The United States was at war somewhere. Okay? Joe Biden has now, under his regime, we're now 3 wars. We've got Ukraine, we've got the Middle East, Gaza, and now we're at war in Yemen, basically with Iran, because of the Houthis are being backed by Iran. Isn't it amazing that we have terrorists, drug dealers, gangbangers, child traffickers invading our southern border, yet we're launching drone strikes in Yemen? And they're drone strikes that weren't even approved by Congress. Joe Biden just decided to do it, and Lloyd Austin from his bed. Okay. Now let's look at vice presidents. Donald Trump is going to have to choose a woman. I mean, that's the future now. And I have no problem.
I thought so too. Yeah, I think so too.
I have no problem with that. But you've got to have somebody that can step into the position if, God forbid, something happens to the president. Okay? And people are talking about Elise Stefanik. She's a very young woman. She really doesn't have the executive experience. It needs to be somebody who's actually run something like a governor. And my pick would be Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Okay?
Yeah.
And the other bonus you get with Sarah Huckabee Sanders is that she was a press secretary. She knows how to deal with these people, these press people, this media. Okay? I would say Christine Noem second, but I like Sarah Huckabee Sanders. I'll tell you who I would love to see in his cabinet or as his press secretary would be Carrie Lake.
Yeah.
As a broadcaster, as a newswoman who's had years in front of the camera, she knows how to deal with the press. She would bury these people on a daily basis. So, but she to pick her as a vice president, well, she hasn't even served in public office yet, Carrie Lake. But she would make a hell of a press secretary.
I think so too. I think so. I agree.
Yeah.
I think she has to be part of the Trump cabinet. Yes, I agree.
Yeah, and and the other thing that Carrie Lake would serve is a president needs somebody who can go to bat for him. He or she focuses on the job of running the country, while you have your surrogates out there, destroying the media, speaking for the president in a good way. Some, who was really good at that. Mike Huckabee was good at that. Newt Gingrich is good at that. And Carrie Lake would be good at that. But I'm telling you, I'm telling you that they are going to enlist. Thank you. They're going to enlist. I'm getting gas. Sorry. They're going to enlist. Yeah, they're going to enlist Hillary Clinton. And Harry and I have gone back and forth on this. Why do I say Hillary Clinton? Because everybody hates Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
But they hate Trump more. And they know they can't have Biden. They know that Hillary's run before. The reason you don't see much of Hillary Clinton now, when Hillary ran in 2016, every time she was off the campaign trail for a while, her numbers went up. So the less you saw of Hillary Clinton, the more popular she became. Okay? So
yeah.
You don't see her around too much, do you?
No.
Hillary Clinton.
No.
Okay? Well, I'm telling you. So think about this. They go to the convention. Joe announces he's not going to run at the convention. Okay? Now they nominate Hillary. And see, the later they put Hillary into the race, the less time they have for people to beat up on Hillary. Okay? And the less time she has in front of the camera. So it protects her. It's just like it protected Biden.
Yes.
He campaigned from the basement.
Yes.
You didn't see him.
That's right.
So he won. Okay? So they keep mentioning Michelle Obama. Here's the deal with Michelle Obama. Michelle Obama and Barack Obama, they have a house on Martha's Vineyard. They have a house in Maui. They're living the life of Riley. They're hobnobbing with all these celebrities. They're getting rich off their Netflix deals. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Plus, they have the luxury. They have the luxury of actually running the country from behind the scenes.
That's right. That's right.
If Michelle becomes president, that means Barack's living in the White House too. They can no longer hobnob with the celebrities. They can no longer live in Martha's Vineyard and in Hawaii. They'll actually have to work, okay? And they're not doing the Netflix deal anymore.
That's right.
Why would they give that up? Because right now they have the luxury of running the country from behind the scenes, getting everything they want, but not getting any of the blame for all the damage that's being done to the country. Joe Biden's being blamed.
That's right.
But it's the Obamas.
Oh,
So
yes.
They've got the best of both worlds right now. Michelle is not going to run. It's going to be Hillary.
I don't believe so
It's going
either.
to be Hillary.
Andy, thanks for the call. Yeah, some passionate words there. By the way, speaking of Michelle and Barack, I didn't realize, the magnitude of their Netflix deal. So a couple of weeks ago, during the holidays, I had a lot of free time on my hands. So one night I said, I want to watch a movie. So I picked this movie, Leaving the World Behind. And the only reason I picked that was because it looked good, because Julia Roberts was in it. Mahershala Ali was in it. So I thought, well, good cast. And I saw, before the movie started, executive producer Michelle and Barack Obama. Well, let me tell you something. That was the worst movie I have ever seen. If you want to waste two hours, go right ahead. You got Netflix, Chris? Don't watch it, please. Leave the World Behind, it's called. And let me tell you, I did not make any sense out of it, but I watched the whole thing. A friend of mine did the same thing. He watched it. Oh, I bet you it's good. And he watched about 20 minutes of it, and he turned it off. So much for Michelle and Barack and their Netflix deal. It is Talk with a Purpose every Saturday, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. I'm John DeMasi. 609-407-1450. We'll get back to your calls and more of the program after these words.
If you're interested in driving one of the finest automobiles on the market today, then you'll want to check out all the fabulous new and pre-owned Lexus at Lexus of Atlantic City. Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. Driving a Lexus is like no other vehicle on the market. Test drive one for yourself at Lexus of Atlantic City. Whether it's new or pre-owned, you'll be more than satisfied. In fact, Lexus is consistently number one when it comes to customer satisfaction. Visit Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. Or you can check out their outstanding selection of new, pre-owned, and L-certified pre-owned vehicles on their website, LexusOfAtlanticCity.com. That's LexusOfAtlanticCity.com. Or, if you want more information, call 609-641-0008. Lexus of Atlantic City, now celebrating their 26th year in the area. A dealership that you'll enjoy. No pressure, no gimmicks, no hassle, no hype. Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. And remember, always online at LexusOfAtlanticCity.com.
Your WPG Talk Radio 95.5 AccuWeather forecast for South Jersey. We've got a coastal flood advisory and a wind advisory in effect through this afternoon. Going to be windy and mild with clouds and sunshine, the high 57, but temps fall into the lower 40s. Clear to partly cloudy, windy and colder tonight, low 31. Becoming windier, cooler tomorrow with periods of sun with a snow shower in the afternoon, high up to 45. I'm AccuWeather's Ruth O'Brien on WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
We are back here on Talk with a Purpose. If you want to listen to any of our shows at any time, you can. It's called the radio version of On Demand. All you do is Google John DeMasi Podcasts, and all of the shows come up. It's that simple. You can listen to any one of the shows. I mean, there's now we're over 200. John DeMasi Podcast, Google it, and all the shows come up, and you can listen to any of them at any time. It's that simple. Talk with a Purpose is the show, Saturdays 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Let's talk to William in AC. William, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
Good morning, John. I tell you, it's such an opportunity for me to be a part of this juggernaut you have going on.
Yes.
I listened to quite a few of your callers, and, a lot of them, familiar voices and familiar ideas. I've heard them a few times before, and, but that Andy, oh my God, he's excellent. Andy is excellent. As great as your radio station is, I think Andy, his message deserves a larger platform, because what he says and what he's able to dream up, I think it needs to be listened to, nationwide and internationally wide. I think, he's a lump of gold, and you treat him that way too, which is very good.
Well, I'll let you in on a secret, Andy. I'll let you in on a secret, William. Andy is a radio veteran, and him and I worked together for many years at another radio station. So,
well, I'm certainly not surprised. I knew it was a trained voice, a trained ideology I was listening to.
Yeah.
And, I just want to say that wish you great health in the new year.
Well, you do the same. You do the same.
Yeah. And I don't know if you're older or younger than me. I'm 70 years old.
I got you beat by 3.
You got me beat?
By 3 years.
Well, yeah, well, when you kind of things can creep up on us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just want to wish you well and wish all your listeners well too.
The same to you, William. And as always, we look forward to your calls because you bring another perspective to the show. And thanks a lot for the call, Frank and Ventnor. Frank, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
Hey, good morning, John.
Good morning.
So, John, before I do my topic, I just want to mention I saw that horrible movie also, the Netflix movie with Julia Roberts.
Yeah.
terrible. What was going on?
I don't know. I still don't know.
I don't know.
Somebody said, I don't know where it was. I was listening, and they said, "Oh, it was a terrific movie." And I said, "What was terrific about that?" I mean, I didn't understand any of it. You know?
Yeah, I didn't either. I didn't either.
I mean that.
Yeah.
Well, the only part I understood was when her husband was talking to the young girl, and you know what she said in the movie. I think he wants to blank that.
Right.
That I understood. That part I understood. All right? The sex part I understood. Nothing else. Okay?
So, John, I wanted to also mention, several callers have mentioned one of the reasons Trump lost is because governors and judges changed voting laws without going through the legislation, right? And you must go through the legislation, the legislators.
Yes.
Well, they always leave out one state. There's one state where, in fact, the Republicans sued this governor because he made a proclamation that allowed early voting an extra 6 days. You know who that governor is?
Not Murphy.
No, Greg Abbott.
Oh, yes.
Of Texas. So the most conservative governor, right, of Texas actually did it too. People always forget that. And there were two other, Asa Hutchinson of Arkansas did something similar, and the other fellow who was running for president who dropped out from North Dakota. Those are two other Republican governors that did not go through they made their own proclamation. So, in those states, Trump won handily.
Yes.
So, let's get all the truth out there if we're going to talk about these things.
Yes.
That's all, John.
One of the things I like about you, Frank, is that you keep us in line. Because I look forward to your emails after the show, and I say, did I say that? Or who said that? And so you are the fact checker on the program. Okay.
Well, I try to be, but I know someone will call up and tell me why what I just said was actually wrong. Right? They'll say that I actually wasn't. If they can find that I was wrong, fine. But they can also find a story about Greg Abbott and the other two Republican governors.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks.
All right, John.
Thanks always for the call, and thanks for the emails. The summary. He's like, you ever watch a post-game show? Well, in this game, so-and-so did so-and-so, and then he passed to him. So that's Frank. He gives me a rundown of the whole show and tells me who called and who was right and who was wrong. It's really, it's fascinating. And for somebody to take the time to do that is really, is impressive. 609-407-1450. We got a few minutes left of the show. We have time for a couple more calls if you are so inclined. 609-407-1450. It is Talk with a Purpose. Saturdays 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. And I'm John DeMasi. Final thoughts on today's program after these words.
Joe Yakovich is registered with and securities and investment advisory services are offered through Brokers International Financial Services, LLC. Member SIPC. Brokers International Financial Services, LLC is not an affiliated company.
When it comes to you and your family's financial wellness, there are so many things to talk about. We could go on forever. To help guide you along the way, Joe Yakovich has written a book called The Heart of Your Money, Inspiration for Financial Wellness. In the book, Joe talks about longevity, inflation, retirement surprises, and many other topics. For your free copy of The Heart of Your Money, call the office of Joe Yakovich at JML Financial at 856-751-1771 or email Joe at jyakovich@brokersifs.com. For over 37 years, Joe Yakovich has been helping families throughout the area navigate the difficulties of a sound financial plan. You'll find Joe's approach to be different and not just the cookie-cutter methods that are prevalent in today's world. The path to your financial wellness and or retirement starts with a call to Joe Yakovich at JML Financial Group. 856-751-1771. 856-751-1771. Or email Joe at jyakovich@brokersifs.com.
We are back here on Talk with a Purpose. And again, 609-407-1450. That's our number here in the studio. 609-407-1450. I'll get to George in just a minute. I just wanted to run this story by you. And this is, again, I'm not for abortion and I'm not against it, but in a certain situation, this clearly called for, something to be done. An Ohio woman facing a criminal charge for her handling of a home miscarriage will not be charged. This is what a grand jury decided this past Thursday. She was charged with a felony that could have brought her a year in prison. A municipal judge found probable cause to bind over this case. Her name is Brittany Watson. Here's what happened. She miscarried, and then she flushed and scooped out the toilet. Sorry if this disturbs you, but this is what it is. Then she left the house, leaving the 22-year-old fetus lodged in the pipes. An autopsy determined that the fetus died in utero and identified no recent injuries. Watts had been to the hospital twice before the miscarriage. The doctor told her she was carrying a non-viable fetus and to have labor induced or face significant risk of death. These are according to records. She left the hospital each time without being treated. So, the plot thickens. Miss Watts is black. The outcome is what they wanted, and probably as it should be, but a group known as In Our Own Voice, which is a black reproductive group. Boy, I didn't know there was a black reproductive group. I guess there is. Expressed relief at the outcome, and this is as it should be. But this is the question of should she have had the abortion? Well, I guess she should have, but then she miscarried, and then she went. I understand she went to the hairdresser, and they told her to go to the hospital. And but anyway, she's not charged, and she won't be charged, and that's it. But just wanted to run that by you. This is where this abortion stuff it gets sticky. And, there should be exceptions to the rules. So that's all I'm saying about that. George in AC is back. George, good morning. Welcome back.
Yes. Just real quickly, I know in politics it's exceptionally important to check the boxes, whether we like it or not. It's a political fact. So if boxes need to be checked, Trump has worked with, and I believe like Sarah Huckabee a lot.
Yes.
Was his press
secretary
for a while, so I'm sure that he's got a working relationship with her that she's comfortable with. And if you have not seen the forever commercials that her father continues to do on behalf of Trump,
yes,
I'm sure that you have.
I have.
Okay, that I would say that she might be in the pick. Okay, now, and I don't know enough about Condoleezza Rice. I have no idea if she would be a good or bad pick, but guess what? I just Googled it for the giggles and chuckles. She's only 67 years old.
Oh, she's a baby.
Exactly. So there are some picks if boxes have to be checked.
Yeah.
Whatever. And the one, the Carrie Lake that never had, she'd be a good press secretary, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, hey, listen, we got to be a little crazy here. We're sitting here picking the guy's cabinet.
And he's not even nominated yet. Well,
all right, have a great weekend.
You too, George. We'll write him a letter. Dear President Trump, we think here on WPG, we think that the following are viable candidates: Sarah Huckabee Sanders, Carrie Lake, Condoleezza Rice, et cetera, et cetera. You know what I'm talking about. Oh, boy. Well, I think we've solved many of the world's problems today, don't you? I mean, we've come all over the place. One more thing about Hunter Biden. He pleaded not guilty in this tax case. 9 felony and misdemeanor tax offenses. He is set for trial June 20th. That's interesting. Trump trial in May or March, then probably another trial, then a Menendez trial, then a Hunter Biden trial. Hey, we're going to have the trial of the week brought to you by. Yeah, you know, he's tried for skipping out on the tax paying of $1.4 million, but instead he used the money for hookers and strippers and drugs and a really lavish lifestyle. But he's Hunter Biden. It's all right. What can I tell you? Oh, my. And by the way, I'll leave you with this. Joe Biden, President Biden, has said that the poison, the white supremacy, that's his message this week. And it's appropriate, I guess, that we say this on Martin Luther King Day. I don't think white supremacy is a poison. And this stuff is always blown out of proportion, and it always sounds good on a soundbite, but does it do anything to move the needle one way or the other? I don't know. But Joe Biden declared this at a church in South Carolina where there was a shooting in 2015. If you remember, 9 black parishioners were shot by a white supremacist back then. Last week, President Biden said of former President Trump, he glorified rather than condemning political violence. Did you hear that? I didn't. I mean, but that's what he said. And he never misses an opportunity to say, oh, yeah, he's trouble. White supremacy. That's what you're going to get with Trump. And, of course, we know that's rhetoric. Well, that's going to put the wraps on another edition of Talk with a Purpose. Thanks to Chris Coleman, our program director and producer. Thanks to you, our callers, for making it another outstanding show. And we'll do it all over again next week. Talk with a Purpose next Saturday, 9 till noon, WPG, Talk Radio 95.5. You take care.
The preceding program was paid for and presented by John DeMasi.